Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Just Shelve YouTube channel. I'm Jesse Arnold. This is my wonderful friend and co-host, Curtis Ackerman.
Hello.
And this is Shooting the Shelf, episode 22. That's the nice thing about doing a weekly show. We can get to 52 by the end of the year.
There you go.
Yes. Well, plus the bonus episodes like we had this afternoon with the awesome folks from the Euro Legions podcast. If you are a Ted Lasso fan and want to check that out, it's available on the channel now. Or if you have not watched Ted Lasso yet, maybe wait and watch that later. But we do get into some Legions in the last hour or so. It was a good time. And Curtis and I just love hanging out so much that we're back here for another couple hours with the one and only 1/6 shooter, Trevor Williams. Give her a digital round warm of welcome applause. I did it again. I'll get that out right someday.
Round of applause. You can't hear it. It's just there. You just know it's there.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I feel like
Trevor?
we just did this.
We did. You're making the rounds this weekend.
Yeah, God. Every week, my wife just rolled her eyes. I'm like, yeah, I got another one at 9:00. She's like,
You got a thing.
I'm like, you don't understand, man. Yeah, I got a thing. Exactly. That's what I said. You got a thing. I got it.
That's right. I missed most of the other thing the other night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got some lovely folks hopping out in the chat. Star is here. Danny's here. Thanos Copter. Douglas. David Williams. Carlo. Nate Strong. Lewis. J-Mac. Mike Casper. Eddie. Patrick Boyle. Joe Gonzalez, if I didn't say his name already. Joseph H. I think I'm just repeating names. And Bill is here from Dorclair. So welcome, everyone. JG. All right.
And you know what? If you guys haven't watched Ted Lasso yet, go watch it. Like, what are you doing? Come on. It's not that expensive.
After this.
No, yeah, after this. But I'm just saying, like, go watch Ted Lasso. Come on.
It's a lot of fun. You don't have to understand or even care about sports at all, let alone soccer/football, to enjoy the show.
Don't want to be one of those people that, 10 years later is patting yourself on the back because you didn't give in to pressure and watch Game of Thrones. Don't be that guy. Like, this is a good show. Just go watch it. All right. You don't have to fight.
All right.
Run with it. Run with the peer.
And before we really dive into everything, I want to give a huge shout out and congratulations. Well, I'm sure we all do, to Matt Rodriguez and the Armies of Ashmore crew. They fully funded and closed out their Kickstarter today pretty strong. I think just shy of 150. I think
nice.
150,000. So
it's like 148.
Yeah. So that nice bump the last couple days. So
Brian here, one of my favorite photographers in the house. I really appreciate that, Brian. I've been working on a lot of different stuff to try to improve my photos.
You really have come a long way, Curtis.
Well, I got myself a photo box, and that's kind of helped. But I'm still doing it with my phone, and I need to really buck up and buy a camera. But I really appreciate that comment, Brian. So
Brian, you might want to check out some of my stuff too. I'm not.
Oh yeah. Trevor does some stuff as well.
Pictures.
So
So, to get things started, Trevor, because you are a loyal watcher of the show.
Yes, I am.
We're going to jump into the shelf selections here, which is our weekly run through of some stuff that Curtis and I found online that we thought was cool. So, Curtis, why don't you take it away?
All right. Well, the first one is mine, and this is another excellent one from Hondax. I love his stuff. So I'm sorry to have to keep going back to the same well, but I just love these. And so tell me if I'm saying this right, Jesse, Duragar?
Duragar, yep.
Duragar dwarf, which I'm starting to learn about, and they're pretty cool. And I love the flame effects on the beard and the armor, and I just love these things, and I really am hoping to get one of these in my collection at some point. So
if it's supposed to be a fire dwarf, it is an Azer, but usually the gray skin dwarfs are Duragar.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, what lore is that based on? D&D?
Yeah.
Or just general? Okay. Yeah.
Now, I mean, this is Hondex. This is that Guion from Wales? So, I mean, it might be his stuff might be coming informed from other, you know, European, British, Celtic lore stuff. Right. So, yeah, you know, more authentic than the D&D stuff. But
yeah, you know that. Yeah, that's. I didn't even notice that, but you're right.
Yeah, so. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not actually a loincloth. That's just the loins.
It's a merkin. And if you don't know what that is,
he's a dwarf, so it's a dwarf, so it's a mini merkin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next one is Jesse's.
This is Jack.Stanny on Instagram. I know I say this a lot anytime I see photos that are outside, like in environments with like that diffuse lighting coming through. Always really gets me when they can pull it off to look where the scale feels like legit. So I love the Phase 2 clone trooper. So and I love how he's got them all dirtied up and just really grabbed my attention.
Yeah,
so the first thing I always look at these things and to see if it's natural godlight coming through there, and I think it is. I don't know, because he's got some little particles. He might have done a little post work on this one. I'm not sure, unless that's actual dust that he picked up. I'm not sure.
I do like how they're kind of dirtied up. They're not looking the same direction. They do look like they're just kind of walking through this forest, like searching for something. It does create like this overall scene telling a story there. So that's really cool.
Well, I like the way he's looking up. It feels like, you know, you could cut the camera angle and he'd see, you know, Trevor's shot of Sun Wukong jumping out of the trees at him.
that would be funny.
That'd be great. That'd be really cool, actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and not that there's anything wrong with putting post work in like that either. I'm not saying that. I just like to know if they've actually, you know, had it when it looks really good.
Yeah.
Are you pretty good at catching that? Like
you can create that. I shoot inside, and there's a way to do that. Yeah, you have to kind of filter it through a small opening, and then blow some smoke into it, and you can get that look.
Okay.
This one is from Vonnie Rotten, and
nice.
I liked on their Instagram they did a couple shots of how they got this, so like kind of a where they fan back from the actual picture, and you can actually see the dio set up and everything here. So that was really cool. Got a few Legions figures in there. I'm not sure what this figure is here that's on the ground, kind of getting punished here. A little custom head there, but I just thought this was a cool overall look of somebody kind of being brought in and presented. So yeah,
welcome to hell.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do not want to be that guy. No.
It kind of felt like the scene in Ragnarok where, Thor is being brought in, by Valkyrie and just kind of given over to the the Grandmaster. So
right. Yeah, Mitch is great, man. Ooh, wow.
Next one is Jesse.
DC Motu Nerd on Instagram again. As we've said, not every time, but most times when I see like a fully white painted custom, especially when a lot of it is original parts, but it looks like there's a lot of third-party parts on here. It just really catches my attention because white is such a pain in the butt to work with. So yeah, just that really noble, heroic looking dwarf, just that really clean beard and everything. Yeah, just really, really stood out.
Nice. Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, I don't recognize anything Mythic Legion. I'm like, maybe the arms and
upper arms
and the hands, and like everything else is a custom of something. So yeah, that's definitely a lot of paint, especially for white. And kudos to anybody that's got the patience to do that. So,
and then not only that, all the fine detail on that. So it feels very I don't know what the term for the art is, but something you would see. I don't want to just say Frozen, but I can't think of what that style like. Well, no, kind of like the not like the
like the fantasy style.
but like you would see on the barns, like in Amish country, Pennsylvania and stuff, where like it's like the really detailed, like the blue lines and the gold and stuff just makes
it's really ornate and yeah, that's cool.
That.
Beautiful. Next one is me, and these are this is EDR_images, and they've got a couple new Mafex figures that just came out recently. The Magneto I've got on the way right now from Big Bad Toy Store. Storm I got a couple weeks ago, and I just thought these were some cool kind of photoshopped pictures with them with the their name on there. It to me it kind of gave vibes of the intro for X-Men animated series, which is, as we know, the best version of X-Men around. So
sorry,
the views of Curtis do not necessarily review the views of Shooting the Shelf or its subsidies.
So, but I love the lightning in the pictures and just the overall look that he got from there. So, and he's got cool music to it as well. So,
oh yeah, nice. Reminds me of the little of the cards, the those Topps cards, Fleer. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't remember who put
Marvel Universe cards.
Yeah, the Marvel Universe cards, and the X-Men cards too. They were X-Men cards.
Yeah.
Do you have that Storm, Curtis?
Yes.
Isn't that hair like way too blue? Like it's just overly blue, man. I looked at I don't know. I'm like, did I get one that wasn't painted correctly? Because it just looks all blue.
I didn't think it was, but I mean, I'll have to look at it again. But nothing when I looked at it struck me as off. So
I'll have to look at other people's.
I think that if you stick around, that Trevor's going to be allergic to a lot of things that I say tonight. So here's Jesse's.
It's my buddy.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Mario guy. Like, I have nothing against Mario, but when I just saw this with like a Jurassic Park, like realistic looking raptor chasing Mario and the little toad getting thrown off the or turtle, it just it just looks like he had a lot of fun putting this together, and just like the dynamic motion in the raptor where it looks like it's like when a dog runs through the kitchen and it's losing its footing on the tile or whatever. Yeah, just a lot of fun.
Perfectly executed.
I love on his Instagram how he does a lot of like showing you how he got to that shot, and like, so you'll see him like actually like throw stuff on the ground or use an air can or splash some water or, whatever the things are in order to get that perfect shot. And yeah, this is one of those that just, it cracks me up, but it's also amazing how realistic, like the dinosaur running and kind of turning that corner really looks. So
yeah, Jason and I are pretty tight friends, and he put this up on TikTok, like one of the behind the scenes videos that he did, and I think he's got a million views on it at this point. So
wow,
yeah,
I mean, Mario's pretty hot right now. I mean, he always has been, but
that was like a year ago. I think he took this shot. This is a pretty old shot.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. It must have just gotten reposted this week because I just saw it.
Pinned it or something. Yeah.
I mean, I've never really found myself attracted to him, but if you are, Jesse, I mean, that's whatever floats your boat.
You know what I mean?
Oh, gotcha.
Those overalls are nice and tight.
Now this one blew me away this week, and this is, I think that's a little small for me to see on the Instagram. So hold on one second.
Sakai Piao,
maybe.
Or Saki Piao.
It is, SAKI_PIAO. And here's, like that Hera head. The top one is that, like, I love Hera. I think that's an amazing figure, amazing look. But then the realistic paint job that they got with that. And then, go over to, what's her name? The demon.
Zarya.
Yeah.
And then once again, you go down to the bottom one and you see that realistic, kind of paint on it, which, I understand, like, this is no like criticism of Four Horsemen because there's a certain aesthetic that they're going for. And I love the original sculpts and paint jobs as is, but just the amount of transformation that you see on these two just blew me away, and I couldn't keep away from looking at this week.
Yeah, it's all about the eyes on these, man. These eyes are perfection. Like these are great eyes. I mean, they're the right size. He's got them just a little bit, looking, so you have to tilt the head down so they're looking straight a little bit. It's just really, really good, man. I really like the Zarya. I do like Hera. I wish she'd kept her the same, race, but it's a cool change up, man. It's really, really cool, man. I mean, the eyes are just gorgeous, man. Really, really beautiful, man. He did a great job on this.
I think it's fantastic. Great. Like the Horseman in the studio, because it'd be hard to mass produce stuff that an individual customizer can take the time to do. But it just shows you. I like when you can see these and you already know it's a great sculpt if you've seen these in person, and then just seeing these details even through a computer screen, like how much more detail is in the sculpt, like under a brush that really has the time to do that. It's really amazing.
Eyes are beautiful.
Beautiful.
Just like the split in Zarya's face, like over her cheeks,
emphasized,
everything like that just really is emphasized in the lines in her forehead and stuff. It's really nice.
I like you went with green eyes on her too. It's really different. Like you would expect orange or something like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's a few folks that I've seen on Instagram that do like repaints of just different heads, G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends, things like that. And it's amazing. Like when you see them repainted, it's like, wow, it's actually a really good sculpt, but you can't tell it from the initial when you're looking at it. And then they transform it into something really cool. Like I know Steven's done some recently with G.I. Joes where he got him and wasn't impressed and he repainted him. It's like the details of the sculpt are there. It's just not painted fully. With this, I think, the not only the sculpt great, but the original paint job's great. This is just a different interpretation. And I love it. So,
very cool.
And I think this is the last one for Jesse.
Damn.
Yeah, I had to give a shout out to my table mate Brian C from CB Make. He's been working on this Demogorgon. He's been sharing this in like a chat with us. But just the fact that he took a Mythic Legions troll, got somehow design sculpted. I don't know the whole story behind the head, but that dual mandrill head, painted it, covered it in fur, and then used some sort of like flexible sculpting putty with wire to make the tentacles, and then he sculpted. You can't see it in this picture, but he sculpted all like the individual suction cups onto the bottom of that stuff. And it totally transforms, because the Mythic Legions trolls are already awesome, but then just to see someone do something like this customized, and he promised to bring it to Legions Con and have it staring at me at the table the whole weekend. So I can't wait for that.
This is gonna haunt my dreams, man. This is
this is nightmare fuel. I mean, I love the head. I think the head, is just really awesome. It's just the fur, the look, the paint job. Those hand / tentacle things just creep me the hell out. Like I'm just like, man.
So this is what the kids were fighting in their D&D campaign in the beginning of Stranger Things. This was the creature they were going up against that they started calling the creatures from the Upside Down the Demogorgon from. So
I didn't realize it had baboon heads like that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. All right, let's get that off of there. I mean, Brian did a great job, but that's gonna haunt my dreams.
I studied that monster manual, man, when I was young, and I don't remember that, man. I don't remember that the Demogorgon.
And that stuff is called Dutch style artwork or hex style Dutch hex artwork.
Is what
that I was trying to think of. I will bring that up real quick.
I see what you're saying on the dwarf.
Yeah.
Flowers and all that stuff.
It was just hex.
Right.
Dutch hex artwork. So I mean, I live in near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, so like
see a lot of that.
Lancaster and like the whole huge Amish community down here is really close by. So like I would see these, like they would have these kind of symbols on like barns and stuff, and they call it hex patterns or hex art.
Somebody should do one like totally like this though. Like,
yeah,
I want to do
just
like Hot Toys did a stormtrooper, like the porcelain stormtrooper. Have you see that? It's like got the teacup toile like designs on it. It looks ridiculous.
Oh wow, no.
But it's funny as hell. Like, it'd be cool to do like a dwarf like that.
That'd be cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right. So let's get ready to throw down the gauntlet. Where we want to start with. It's like
I'm happy to talk.
How about the X-Men animation sucks? How about that? Okay.
Okay.
I agree with awesome. Trevor 100%.
It's awesome. Counterpoint.
No, it's it's funny because like it does, like, I get it. And that was a lot of, I'm older than you, even you guys were taking naps and I was like working, but whatever. But I'm older than you. And like, I was reading the comic books, and the comic books were so at the time that was, Wolverine and Mariko, his bride, and killing her brother, and, Dark Phoenix and stuff. And then I'm like, they announced this cartoon, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Finally, the X-Men. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, man? like who's fucking Morph? Who the fuck is this guy? What the hell is this? This is terrible. So I was really disappointed in the stories. I realized they had moved on from that era of X-Men, and they were into more of the Jim Lee stuff. But I don't know. It just disappointed me because I didn't like the care. Storm always had to go up and say, by the powers of the, I'm good. I was like, oh God, she never does this in the comic books, man. It's like, she just goes up there and like creates a lightning storm. You know what I mean? And John Byrne was freaking verbose, in his descriptions and dialogue and stuff, but he never did. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. That's all I'm saying. Now, Wolverine and the X-Men, on the other hand, is a great cartoon. Fantastic cartoon.
Okay. But that's a different cartoon. That's not what we're talking about yet.
It is.
So my point to that is it's all perspective. And for me,
oh yeah, I agree.
Like, I grew up on DC Comics, and this is like pre Keaton Batman. So this is before Batman has gone dark and gritty and scary. Mm-hmm. This is Bow Cam Zap Adam West Batman. So DC Comics, like, I'm reading Superman, I'm reading Green Lantern, I'm reading Batman, and everything is goody two shoes, do the right thing, perfect. Like, they don't make mistakes, they don't have moral quandaries, they don't have character flaws. It's just everything's sunshine and rainbows. And I didn't read Marvel, so when I see the animated series, and it's the introduction for me to this team. And I'm like, oh, okay. So these guys have some, they're struggling with certain things, and they've got these humans who don't like them, and they're kind of being oppressed. But then you've got your Magneto faction that's like, okay, well, these people hate us, so we're gonna hate them, and then you've got Xavier's side that's like, well, those people hate us, but we're gonna strive for, working together, and then seeing all the different personalities and stuff. I fell in love. But that's all I know. I didn't have a previous experience with X-Men, and to see these characters that were just a lot more, there was just more depth to them than what I had been used to in a comic book character. I fell in love with them. Plus, that music is a banger. And
the music I'll give you is the music is great. The intro is
pretty good. I still have it as the ringtone on my phone, and I just love the looks. I think that the whole Jim Lee style look of the team really works for me. So
I'm a John Byrne fan, but I did like Jim Lee. I was reading all those comics. I had them right from the beginning when Jim Lee started with the book, and it was with John Byrne, drawing the book, and it was fantastic. Now, did any of this make you go out and buy any of the books or any of the compilations and go backwards and read some of those storylines that they were
I read
borrowing
some of the ones
from
that were like came out afterwards. Like, I remember reading House of M. I read there was
that was a good while later.
Yeah. I read there was a little 4-issue Gambit miniseries that I read. I actually did get the X-Men animated comic books. But no, none of the stuff that you're talking about that you would consider to be like quality X-Men now.
See, here's the deal. Like it is a little bit of a generational thing too, because the X-Men and like you read DC, and I get that whole thing because Marvel. I read DC too. I read I love Neil Adams Batman and Superman and stuff like that, but I never really connected with me. I don't know, just like there was too many like multiple worlds, and they could solve everything by another Superman coming in. I don't know. It was just it was green kryptonite, purple kryptonite. It was like, fucking hey, man, like, can't he get hurt? Just knock him down. Anyway, I moved on to Marvel, and Marvel, of course, has that whole, as an angsty kid teenager who has spider powers. You know what I mean? And the X-Men to me were like, they each had a personality. Like Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler was, and their relationships with each other too were individualized. They weren't like, these guys had a close relationship. These guys kind of, Cyclops and Wolverine were always fighting, you know what I mean? And had this love triangle with Jean and stuff. It was different, man. It was really different. And we were into that as much as you were when they battled Magneto or whoever, you know what I mean? But those stories for the time, Dark Phoenix, she killed 1 billion people. That didn't happen in comic books. You didn't open up and like a hero, somebody who's going to be, somebody who's like, you have to kind of feel for, and then she just killed 1 billion beings, innocent beings. Right. How do you feel about that now? Like, this is a moral quandary in a kid's comic book, and it was dark and awesome. And Wolverine was, of course, super dark. But I mean, not compared to now, and probably not even like the Jim Lee era. It was splash pages, and, they got real dark because that paved the way for it. You know what I mean? But reading that and then going to the cartoon, I was like, oh, this is no, it's just it's going like backwards or something, man. But I mean, for people who just saw that, I totally understand that was like, whoa, this is really cool.
It's like getting introduced to the cartoon is like being introduced to like Hamburger Helper and thinking that's what steak tastes like compared to the comics.
I agree.
I'm not saying Hamburger Helper is bad, but like if that's your thing, like, and I'm not trying to make fun of Curtis by any means, because like I'm barely on the side with you on this, Trevor, where I'd only been reading the comic for, I don't know, like a year to 18 months or so by the time the cartoon started. So I was really excited because I was coming in at the end of that Claremont stuff with Jim Lee, and I was starting to go back and try to find older stuff and everything. And then eventually got into the stuff with like, anyway, but so like I was there with it. And the only thing I knew about the X-Men before that was Pride of the X-Men, that one shot they did like in the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Right.
Where Wolverine was like Australian. Yeah. Because, because I don't know, Crocodile Dundee was popular, so they used an Australian.
Probably. That's a knife. Right
there. and I had seen a couple of my brother's issues of Secret Wars, but I didn't understand what was going on, and then my Sean Scavarna brought over some comics. I'm like, what are these? And I was hooked.
And again, those things are like not quaint, but like there's a lot of copy, there's a lot of exposition because there was a lot of deep stuff. Now I've read Powers of X, House of X, Powers of 10. It's good stuff. It's a little. I mean, there's actually a lot of exposition in those too. I think it got to a point before the Image guys left and started Image, and then when they did start Image, it was all about like splash pages and very little dialogue. And I don't know. You just had to be driven by the imagery and not by the story as much, and that depressed me. I don't like. That's when I started getting into like independent comics and going back and reading stuff like Watchmen and things like that. And again, this is not to say that like everybody, like, listen, we are like rarities in that the X-Men animated cartoon is not like your like life. You know what I mean? Like it was like everything about the 80s. It just wasn't for me, man. It just didn't resonate. That's all.
Brian with me again.
You can't just pull up the ones that side with you, Curtis.
What about go up to come on.
I just Brian's really in my corner today. He's complimenting my photography. He's with me on X-Men. No,
Well,
here's what I'll say. I did that to get at your goat a little bit.
All right. Well,
here's what I think we can agree on.
Who was saying
X-Men are great, right? Like the whole the characters, the idea. My version is what I know and what I like, and I like that. You like yours, but the universe, the world, the characters it's amazing. Whether you like the comics or whether you like, so.
Well, they're uncanny, really, but yes,
they are very uncanny. That's true.
And look, and just to throw out a different opinion here, we got Eddie he was into the comics, but he did love the cartoon when it came out. So there we go.
But Danny also, I don't know if that was Danny, but said earlier on that the Wolverine and the X-Men is the best Marvel animated series.
It's a good one. I will say that I've gone in and watched most of that, and it's really fun. Yeah. Now, I didn't get to see that as a kid, so it doesn't have the same nostalgia, but as a series, it is really good.
I didn't either. I discovered it like a couple years ago when Disney Plus came out. Like I didn't even heard of it, and I watched the whole thing in like night.
Yeah, I just watched it this year when CB mentioned it on our interview with him because he said that he loves that series.
Yeah, that's the best, man. I don't know where I said Chris Claremont, not Byrne. I mean, I know the difference, but okay, maybe
I think you're talking about the writing.
Oh, I thought I said Claremont. Okay, anyway, but yeah. I mean, it's I get it. I mean, it's just not for me.
Gotcha.
I'm not excited about it coming back, although I kind of am. I will watch it. I will definitely watch it.
I'll give it a shot because the character renderings I've seen look good. I'm like, if that's half of good as what the show looks like, I'll check it out.
I hope that they're upgrading it a little bit, like
the stuff I've seen that they've released looks up. I mean, it looks like the same costumes. It looks like clearly this is a continuation of that, but it looks like better animation.
Now they're getting a lot of the same people to voice it, right?
That I'm not sure.
Those people who are around, I believe they announced that. Which I hope that they can do that. Because it's like, even as much as I love Star Wars and Rogue One, hearing James Earl Jones in his old man voice, like they started changing it in Kenobi. They started doing the modulation to make it sound like younger James Earl Jones, but it was like, oh, don't choke on your aspiration. It was like, what? Oh, God, man.
I will say, like, so not having a comic background, my only experience with X-Men has been the cartoon and then the movies. And I would say out of those two, I definitely prefer the cartoon over the Fox movies. So I don't know what you guys thought about those movies with your background, but like you see them come on and they've got like the all black leather outfits and stuff. Like, what were your thoughts?
This is the Marvel, like, it's what the Marvel universe has done for the most part. I mean, they've done a really good job of taking those goofy looking, if you were alive or remember any of the stuff in the 70s. I mean, yeah, Batman 69, everybody, or Batman 67, everybody, what the hell is it? No, Batman 66. Everybody knows that look. I mean, it was meant to be a joke. My dad told me that and crushed me because I love that show. And he's like, that's supposed to be funny. Those are like B and C actors play. I'm like, what? It's great. Anyway, there was a Captain America. I mean, there was the Hulk. Everybody remembers the Hulk, the David Banner. But there was a Captain America with like a motorcycle helmet and the wings painted on. I'm sure you've seen pictures. It was awful.
Yeah.
And they had Thor show up in Hulk one time. It was awful. So those costumes just look goofy as hell. So when the X-Men came out, I fully did not expect them to do like tights and, I just like, you got to change this for real life because it looks goofy. So I didn't mind the uniforms. First movie I loved. I'm like, oh my God, they picked the great people to play these parts. Yeah, they changed, some of the timelines, Ice Bobby being a kid and everything, whatever. I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with that. That's cool. And then they led into Dark Phoenix, and then they just shit the bed on that, man. Like they just ruined that's the greatest story, like in comic book. I mean, in the Marvel universe, as far as I'm concerned, still. And they destroyed it.
Well, at least they gave it a second attempt and did it again.
And made it somehow worse.
Yeah. Somehow worse. Like they didn't learn anything, and unbelievable.
But I loved the thing about that. you know, I'm not opposed to female empowerment, but the whole thing that I heard, like one of the mayors or someone out in LA or Hollywood declared, like, whatever day it came out is like, you know, Black or Dark Phoenix Day, and it was like going to be a day for women empowerment. I'm like, you do not understand what this story is about at all. Like, if you
yeah,
knew the
you
real
go,
story,
girls. You kill a billion people in a whole planet.
You
go.
genocide
You
an
got the
entire
power.
planet.
We can do
girl
it.
Power. Like, that's the wrong message to be sending. Like, I'm like, how is
that's some marketer that just barely skimmed something and said,
yeah,
you know what we should do? She's a girl. We should do it.
yeah, and
ridiculous.
Yeah. I want to bring up.
What about the? Go ahead.
A comment here. T. Bellet, first time on the shelf, he said tonight, but he said read through the X-Men Grand Design, and it's a really nice summation of the X-Men. I agree. That's a great.
Those are great
series.
Books. I love those. Yeah.
I
would suggest, Curtis, I would suggest this to you because it's not a long read, but it still holds up, and it gets all those themes that
like
you're talking
he says
about.
it like I'm an idiot.
What do you mean? No. What do you mean?
It's a way to condense since the 19.
Oh, no, not this, not this. No. I've got something else that I'm going to suggest.
Okay.
To kind of get a flavor for the, it's not in continuity with the rest of the X-Men stories, but it takes a slice of kind of like what the X-Men are. It's called God Loves, Man Kills. And it's not too long. I mean, not saying like, you know, you can't, it's not a tome, you know what I mean? It's not like, you know, 4 years of, it's just a story, and it's beautifully illustrated. It's got all the characters you recognize and know. Magneto's in there, but it's a really well written story, man.
That's the first X-Men graphic novel, like, that went straight to that publication. It was not published as like single issues.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I still would love to see it. They've tried to do, you know, they tried to work that into the X-Men movie a little bit, some of the themes from that, but they never really hit it. And it's going to be interesting in the MCU when they bring the X-Men in, because part of like the whole X-Men thing is that they're mutants and they're hated because they're an evolution of humanity, and they're mutants and they have different genes and stuff. But now, I mean, you know, there's people flying all over the place, like in the MCU, you know what I mean? And that kind of was in Marvel. It's going to be interesting how they say this is because they have these genes and they're an evolution of you. And I'm wondering if they do that same theme, that people are going to hate them because of who they are, because that was like, it's a play on, you know, civil rights and things like that. And I don't know if they'll be able to do that.
Gonna use it as like I mean, because clearly hate groups have not gone away, unfortunately.
No.
But if they'll somehow turn it into use the X-Men as a scapegoat or the mutants as
could be
like, we'll get some sort of politician characters or something that are like, oh, well, if we didn't have them here, this event wouldn't have happened. You know, they could like,
that's
like the disaster in Genosha, you know, that kind of a thing.
Well, I think to me, the thing that always hit me with X-Men is it's like this is like people of all ages. So you've got, you know, these, especially when their powers develop, it seems like it happens in like their teen years. So now you've got your kids going to school with these people that, who knows, like they may just blow up at any minute. They may, you know, shoot lasers across, like, so it was like this fear of, you know, like these people having uncontrollable powers, which I don't think we've really seen too much of that in the MCU, of like just people getting these powers that they can't control. And that would endanger.
I think that's it.
We saw a little bit with the Sokovia, like, you know, with Wanda, that explosion and stuff.
Well, that's just disregard or like, you know, like, hey, you've got a goal and you're trying to say, we realize that what you're trying to do is ultimately save tens of thousands of people, but you killed, you know, 24 in the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and I think you're right. I think it's going to be that. I think there's lots of current issue stuff that they could tackle in terms of people, you know, being afraid of, you know, having issues with LGBTQ people, and, you know, still racism, as we said, going on. I mean, you could tie that all in, but there is a twist to that, because there was sometimes that there was these mutant kids that didn't have control of their powers and could
Yeah.
go off and hurt somebody. So that
I
could
mean,
be
look at
interesting.
what we have with like school shootings and stuff. And then,
Yeah.
you know, you take a kid that maybe is struggling with stuff. Maybe he's been bullied. Maybe all this other stuff's going on. And now all of a sudden he develops, you know, a superpower to do God knows what. Like that would be scary to send your kids to school and just not know if they're going to come home on a daily basis. So I think that they'll, in my opinion, they'll probably play into some of the fear of that. But I also don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they introduce them in the MCU, because you've got some characters that have like an established history that you don't want. Like, I don't want to see 18-year-old Wolverine on.
No.
You know, I don't want to see like, you know, so you have to kind of establish like who Magneto is, who Wolverine is, and how do you bring that in with what you already have built.
And this is the problem with, I think they're going to have to bring them in like either out of a timeline mesh or something like that, because how could they have been around? I mean, yes, they could be hiding, you know what I mean? But I mean, like, you know, as an allegory, like, you know, gay people hid in the 40s and 50s, you know what I mean? But you knew there were people out there, you know what I mean? Like we don't know that there's any of these mutant people out there, and Wolverine's been alive since the 40s, you know what I mean, or the 30s or whatever. I guess he was in the
1800s.
Yeah, the 1800s actually. You're right. Yeah, so I mean, they can't just like boom, oh, it's mutants. You know what I mean? They did it with Ms. Marvel. That she is a mutant, which is an interesting thing. I hope they don't drop the ball on some of that stuff and they keep it rolling towards. Feels like the MCU has not done a good job of like, you know, threading things along and going, oh, there's another piece. Oh, I see. There's a piece of the puzzle there, and there's a piece of the puzzle there. It's just kind of like, where the hell are they going? What's happening here? I don't know.
Yeah. It seems like some of the cohesion fell off a little bit in Phase 4. We'll see. You know, I have faith that they'll bring it back. I think really what you need are like good characters and good storytelling. And I think you can do. I mean, the fact that Guardians has turned out to be as good as it is, when I didn't know anybody that knew who the hell the Guardians of the Galaxy were.
Nobody knew the Guardians. Nobody read the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Nobody read it.
So to go into, you know, that franchise and just go, okay, well, show me who these people are and why I should care. And then they put that out, and it's like, okay, that's all you need. Like, you don't necessarily need the biggest names in comic books.
Yep.
You just need to tell me a good story with people that I care about. So,
and the interaction is what's key. So that's why I think some of the solo stuff has fallen a little flat for me. Not that I don't like, you know, I liked Moon Knight. I enjoyed She-Hulk. For the most part, I like Ms. Marvel a lot. I thought Ms. Marvel was really good, but it's the interaction and the connection between the two characters. The whole thing. I mean, you could argue that the whole thing that carried the you know, the first 10 years or whatever was a lot of things, but that Cap Tony tension, you know, friendship, and I mean, you know what I mean, against each other together, fighting together, but a little bit tense, was just so great. It was so great to see that change with every movie, you know what I mean, and how is it going to be and how's it going to evolve, and they did evolve. I just don't see as much evolution. The Guardians have, obviously, but I hope that maybe the Fantastic Four is yet the next big team thing that people can sort of rally around and co-star on, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
So here's the thing. And I know this is gonna irritate some people. My only knowledge of the Fantastic Four is the 2 movies. That's it. I have zero knowledge outside of those. There are the 3 movies. Sorry, the 2 original, and then the next one. So
you're picking bad introductions to these characters, Curtis.
Yeah.
So
I would say that's even a worse introduction to characters than the animated X-Men.
Absolutely.
Especially that Trank movie from a couple years ago.
So when people talk about being excited for Fantastic Four and MCU, I'm like, I don't get it. It does nothing for me. But that's because I have no background that is anything good. So I
don't even know what to suggest, because I just like John Byrne. You know what I mean? I love John Byrne. He's like one of my favorite artists of all time. And he had a run on the Fantastic Four, which was awesome. It made me read the Fantastic Four, which I never did because I always found Reed Richards to be an irritating bore. I just found the whole team to be a little, I like the Thing. I like Ben Grimm's challenges and stuff like that. Depending on who was writing him, Johnny Storm was a douchebag, but I love the way Byrne wrote them. Like he knows how to write a team. He really does. And that's a good run to read to kind of introduce yourself. There's got to be better ones though. I'm sure people who read the Fantastic Four, there's got to be some compilations or something that are good introductions. But I would suggest reading something before you see that just to get an idea of what they're really like. Those movies are not it.
About 10 years ago or so, Marvel did a run of books called Season 1.
Okay.
Where they basically reinterpreted the original comics, but with modern artists. And they cleaned up some of the dialogue so it wasn't kind of like, hey there, Square, what are you doing? Because as much as as Chum? Everybody loves Stan Lee,
old Chum,
he does not have the best dialogue.
I mean, Captain America telling Iron Man what he needs is some straight dick.
And and that's not to take away anything that Stan Lee has done and all the amazing artists and people
different time
to create,
yeah.
But there's so it's like a one. I think they're available in paperback now, but it's basically like a small graphic novel, and it basically retells the origin of a character or team. So it kind of is like a slightly modern art style take on the origin of the Fantastic Four, Iron Man or the X-Men. And it's a really cool way to get into the basics. Like the main thing about the Fantastic Four is they were a family unit, basically. It's like a brother and a sister, and then the sister and her boyfriend, and then his best friend. So it's like this real, at the core, like a family story. And I feel like the two Fox movies did a pretty okay job getting like the personalities almost there.
The first one
on the characters. The first one more than the second, because the whole second one with Sue being obsessed with her wedding and like Bridezilla did not feel very Sue to me.
No. Sue's a strong character, man. She,
yeah, she's an amazing character, and the fact that she's like so it's basically, if you've seen the Invincibles, like maybe a less funny version of that is what the Fantastic Four should be, except instead of kids, it's they're all the same age.
Yeah, that's basically what it was, and they just twisted up the characters, right? Like they kind of did. She's Stretch, he's strong. Yeah.
But that Trank movie from 2015 or whatever was depressing as shit. Like it like they turned like Ben Grimm's thing, like his signature call sign is, it's clobbering time, right? Like it's gonna go in and smash stuff, it's like Hulk smash kind of a thing. Yep. They turned that into a movie. In that movie, it was like the phrase his older brother used on him when he was gonna beat him up. So, and then they used the Thing after the whole experiment went wrong or whatever, and he turns into the Thing. They use him as like a WMD that are dropping into like war zones, and you just see like his body count like it's a video game. And I was like, it was so depressing that they took, and like
you're talking about the very first one, right? The old,
not the Corman, not the Corman one, the one from like
Corman, okay.
Josh Trank, the guy that did the
okay.
Where Michael B. Jordan was Human Torch. That movie was just so horrible.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Like Reed had to keep telling everybody he was the smartest person in the room because they couldn't figure out how to show people he was the smartest guy in the room. It was just like,
God forbid,
like, this is a visual medium.
Smart.
Yeah,
it's a visual medium. Why do you keep telling me things?
Yeah, really, it's like a radio play or something like that.
Yeah.
Reed, you are really the smartest person in the world.
Yeah.
So I just I'll have to check out something and hopefully before they come out, but I just that I'm not looking forward to as much as the X-Men, but I think there's like starting out MCU, even like I didn't have any connection with the Avengers. I didn't know anything really about even Captain America or Iron Man, so like I had no tie into those characters, but X-Men I know. So like now that we're at a point where kind of the main characters have gone off, and it's like, okay, well, who are the big important characters in the MCU right now? And it's like, I don't really know, but you've got this whole group that you can start influxing into the MCU, and hopefully it'll inject some life back into that franchise. But
side note, Jesse, have you seen the documentary on the Corman movie?
I have not.
It's
I've
fantastic.
Heard about it. I have not watched
so
it.
Good.
Okay.
It's so good. You feel so bad for those people. They really poured their heart into it, and they had no control over how bad it was going to be.
All right. So next topic. There's only one good Indiana Jones movie. Boom.
Really? This is what we're going to... we're going here?
Yeah, we're
going here.
We got Trevor on here, and this is what you want to do.
We're going to battle and then come to resolutions at the end. So
you have no respect for like the big, like Raiders of the Lost Ark was groundbreaking in that it brought back those serial movies. That this is what George Lucas wanted to do too, like bring back that serial movie where he went to see Kit Carson, whoever the hell it was, weekly, and he did some great adventure thing, and then he came back next week and it was kind of continued, or it was a news story or whatever. And I mean, that nobody had seen anything like that for years. You know what I mean? Like, Star Wars kicked off the Buck Rogers thing, brought that kind of back into the, and elevated it. And this just Raiders of the Lost Ark is just, I mean, classic. You've got everything in there, man. It's fantastic. I love Temple of Doom. I love the third one, but it's the Raiders is the best. It's the best. It's the best.
So my retort, Raiders is boring. It's just slow, and I can't get into it. I've watched it. I've watched it a couple times, but it does nothing for me. Temple of Doom, I thought it was, as a kid, I thought it was super creepy, the whole ripping the hearts out and all this and that. I thought the kid in it was annoying as fuck. Like just
round?
Just constant, like, listen, I don't need Goonies being injected into my Indiana Jones like this. I just don't get it.
Oh my God.
Last Crusade was amazing. I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time, not just Indiana Jones. It was one of my favorite movies. And then Crystal Skull was fucking abomination. It was terrible.
Yeah, Crystal Skull was, everybody agrees. I mean, you can't even, everybody has to agree that Crystal Skull sucked. Last Crusade was great. I enjoyed it very, very much. I give Temple of Doom a slight nod over that one, but I love Sean Connery in it. It was great movie. A lot of good action, really good action. I really liked it. I might, there were times when I would be like, what, that was probably the second best one. But I mean, you got to give reverence. Whereas, dude, Raider is boring. Come on, man. Like, no.
I'm literally scouring the comments for anybody to agree with me, and there's nobody. There's not even anything I could pull up that somewhat is like supportive.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't make it feel good.
It's Trevor and then Curtis, and then I get to throw in my 2 cents, which is generally in agreement with Trevor. Trevor, you want to be my new co-host?
No, but that's counterpoint. That's why the show works.
No.
It was just you and me going. I love everything. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that would be really boring. Yeah, it'd be the shortest show ever. Hey, you like this? Yeah, so do I. Okay, moving on. Cool. No, like as far as the original 3, the Last Crusade's the only one I got to see in theaters. Like I was too little, my parents wouldn't let me go see that stuff. Like I almost had nightmares watching Return of the Jedi at 3 years old in the theater. But like it would see, like I don't think I saw like the gory stuff in Indiana, the Raiders or Temple of Doom until I was in college. Like when he boxes with the German guy in front of the flying wing, and like that was so built up to me. By the time I saw that, I was like, that's what you made me look away from. Like
well, you still kind of cringe when you're watching it. You're like,
but I had seen
it's a hard way to go.
Seen worse by the time I got there. The stuff in the second one, because it's so ritualistic and like that cult vibe to it, that freaked me out a lot more. But Raiders, I think, is the best. Last Crusade, I think, is a really close second for me, just because the whole dynamic with him and his dad, and the whole thing where they talk about like where he's like, Brody's gonna disappear. He'll blend in. He knows every language from here to here. Like you'll never see him again. And then it cuts to him, and he's just like, "Hello, does anybody speak English?"
Yeah. No, it was a great movie. It was a great movie. I'm not taking anything away from it, but what is your argument? It's the only good one, or it's the best one?
No, it's the only good one.
Oh Jesus, God!
It's
Good God, no!
I would
God,
say
no! God, no! I'm gonna pull a.
I would say Raiders is watchable. It's not like it's not watchable, but I just don't. It doesn't. Like if I saw it on TV, it's not like I'm gonna have to sit down and watch it. It's not. It
I'm gonna have to
doesn't.
Michael Scott you. God, no!
Yeah.
Temple of Doom is just creepy, and I absolutely like. The other thing is that I'm not a big bug guy, and that whole scene where she's got to reach through the bugs and turn that. Like I'm like,
we are going to die.
Yeah. I'm like,
monkey brain soup.
Sorry, I don't care who's in there. I don't care if my mom's in there. She's dead because I am not putting my hand in there. Like, yeah.
Yep. I would have, if that was me, I would have expired like for good in that sequence. Like, but I love, Raiders is great because the boulder scene in the opening and the whole temple escape and the whole,
it was
way in the bag.
You guys didn't again, Curtis didn't have the I will say the benefit of having read X-Men comics, but prior to seeing the destruction of the X-Men that was the animated series, and you guys didn't see Raiders or Temple of Doom in the theater, and like Raiders in the theater, it was it's revelatory. I don't know how to. I guess like modern, it would be like kind of Iron Man. Like people were like, "Oh, okay, they're gonna make a movie out of Iron Man," and then people went see it like, "Oh, is this what this is gonna be like? Wow, this is good," Or I don't know, I'm trying to think of any more modern movies that might be on that level. I'm sure that there's plenty that I'm just not thinking of. But seeing that in the theater, man, was just incredible. So I think there's an advantage to being the first. The Empire Strikes Back nudges out Star Wars, even though Star Wars broke ground and was the first thing I saw about Star Wars, but it was a better movie. And I can't say that you can't say that that The Last Crusade was not a better movie than Raiders. Okay, the only good movie? No, God, no.
Okay,
that's all.
So, going into this next movie, like, is there any hope that it's even decent? Is there any hope at all?
I said today that I just hope that we were talking about this because I said it to somebody else today too, that I just hope that it is, speaking of Raiders, I just hope that it's a fun, good send-off for Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones. I really don't want to see anybody else play Indiana Jones. I know that it could be like a Bond thing. And, they said Chris Pratt, whatever. But I just want it to go away. I just want it to end and have the memories of it. I just want it to be good enough. It doesn't have to be the greatest movie. It doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't even have to be the top 3. It could be the 4th best. It's got to be better than Crystal Skull. Please, for the love of God, be better than Crystal Skull.
I think...
I'm not sure it could be worse, but it's possible. I just hope... I hope it's good, and I hope it doesn't get vilified because, oh my God, they put a woman in it, and she has to save 78-year-old Indiana Jones. Yeah, he's 78 years old. He's not going to be, crossing bridges and climbing mountains, man. He's 78 years old. I just want to see. I wish they hadn't done it, but I mean, if they're going to do it, I just hope it just respects the series and sends him off well, and that's all. Doesn't make him into like somebody that needs to be, codified or, he's not grandpa. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to see that.
I like the cast they have in it. I like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I loved her in Dirtbag. I hope that the rest of the guys isn't Mads Mikkelsen in this one.
Yeah. Yep.
He's the big bad. I just have some real hope that maybe they don't lean as hard into the tropes of the era that they tried to do with the Crystal Skull, like making it like a sci-fi 50s commie threat movie,
Yeah.
Which I know the original movies were, but it felt almost too comical in Crystal Skull. yeah, I just think it's interesting that he's going to be almost in the time period, because they bumped this up to the 70s, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the late 60s or early 70s, something like that.
Okay.
I think.
So it's a lot closer to when.
It's a time machine movie. Like you're right, we're getting
Right.
that, right? It's a time machine. And what I'm hoping, I don't know anything except from what we've all seen, but I like the idea that they're going to go back and they're going to do the de-aging thing on him and have some scenes like that. It's going to be pretty cool. Hopefully it's done well, like the way Luke was in Mando or Boba Fett. And I kind of hope that he, in order to save everything, that he has to stay back in the time period that we're used to him in the 40s. And like he has to save everybody by staying back there, and that's the last thing you see is him just going off onto some other adventure that we'll never see. You know what I mean? Or we'll read about in a book or something or a cartoon or whatever. Hopefully never again.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. I hope he just doesn't get old and he dies and it's like, oh, that's the end of Indiana Jones. I don't know.
There's plenty of other stories out there that we're not familiar with. Yeah, they don't have the brand recognition, but it's never going to have the brand recognition if someone doesn't give it a chance.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. New movies, man. Let's make some new stuff here. Some new series that people are going to be talking about, 30 years from now. I think John Wick is one of those things. You know what I mean? I think that'll. It's on a different level, but I think that's one of those things. There's not much more that I can think of aside from the Marvel movies.
I mean, I'm guessing that the Bond movies are going to keep going, and they're going to keep recasting that over and over again. But
yeah, but those are a crapshoot. You know what I mean? Like it's like every other what's his name Daniel Craig movie was good. You know what I mean? So.
I've never seen a single Bond movie, like not one.
Oh man,
I've not watched one.
You're just really trying to irritate the guests tonight.
I just never.
I'm gonna find every nook and cranny I can get into and just pull it up.
I'll be honest. I've never had anybody tell me, "Oh, well, this Bond movie is really good. You should see this particular one." And I'm not going to watch 15 of them or whatever the hell.
Start with Quantum of Solace. So. It's like an hour and 40 minutes long.
What is
it?
It's
really short. Quantum of Solace. It's the second Daniel Craig movie. It goes really
Daniel
fast.
Craig,
lots of action.
I mean, Sean Connery. I grew up with Roger Moore, which was outrageous, ridiculous 70s, 80s BS. It was crazy, but it was fun. It was fun. Moonraker. It was ridiculous, but then I got to go back and I really liked those. So I went back and watched the Connery ones, and I was like, oh, okay, now this is Bond. Like I get it. Okay. And then there was a few people here and there that there was a couple good movies. And not until Daniel Craig came back that I was like, wow, this guy is freaking Bond, man. And this is some great stuff. So it's very good. Like, again, every other movie is good, but it does tell a kind of a linear story. You don't have to watch every one of them to sort of see it. But they're good, man. They're really, really good. I can't see anybody doing
the only reason I'm not
Living Daylights was good. JJ said, Living Daylights was good.
Oh, yeah. I'm not suggesting the first Daniel Craig one because it's a long movie and they spend like an hour playing poker. So I just imagine
Casino Royale
would get bored in that movie. Yeah, I loved it, but I think Curtis would get bored.
Okay, it's probably. I mean, speaking of bored, Andor.
Please no, can we not?
I feel like we've had this conversation already.
No, I've had it in the chat with you. I mean,
I was going to say, like in the chat.
Listen. Andor is. Did you like Rogue One?
It was okay. It wasn't my favorite. I loved the last part of it with Darth Vader. That was good.
Okay. Andor is how would you say it? Like, have you ever seen like The Great Escape or? Oh God, you'd fall asleep to Bridge Over the River Kwai, I'm sure. But it's kind of in that vein, you know what I mean? It kind of brings that back. To me, it's the most Star Wars thing since Star Wars. The feel of it, they got perfectly right. It's not Jedis and lasers, but it's intrigue and it's character building, and I love the people in it, and I love what they're going through, and I love the conclusion for like his mother, and all the it's sacrifice. Like, that's what Rogue One was about. Like, it's the sacrifice to make all these people who are just like, hey, I got a laser sword and I'm a hero. You know what I mean? Like, it's all the people behind the scenes of that. And that's what I want to see more Star Wars. Like, I don't want to have a fucking Jedi in every damn show. You know what I mean? Like, there are stories to be told that are just those visions, not to get off the subject, but those visions, some of the new ones are fantastic, man. Like,
I have
thought
not
they
gotten
were
into
just
season 2 yet.
really, really good stories. Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to see. It doesn't have to be 3-4 seasons. It could just be one season. But you compare that to Obi-Wan, which, you know, okay, we got to see him and Anakin fight. It's all visual. It's all just like, it was a cool battle. I enjoyed it. But the story was just like meh, you know what I mean? Whereas the Andor story was fantastic. It just didn't have flashy lightsaber battles and, you know, Darth Vader's mask being cracked open, and, you know, like, the baddies were heavy, man. Like, I don't know. I thought it was great. It was a great portrayal of the Empire in that. Like, it really felt like it took right off from Star Wars. I loved it, man. I freaking loved it. I'm gonna rewatch.
I think my biggest thing with Andor was I didn't give a crap about any of the characters. There wasn't a character in there that I was like, I really like this person. I want to hear more about them and see them. Like, I didn't care. So now, do I more tend to like the visual blaster fights and lightsabers and stuff like that? Yeah, I think that's interesting. I like those parts of those movies. But I think more than anything, like, I just didn't, there was none of those characters that I really connected with, except for when they were in the prison. Who's the guy that does like Gollum and stuff, that actor?
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis. Yeah. His character in the prison, I like kind of connected with.
He had a fantastic arc.
And then he was
story
done.
Was incredible.
Yeah, but
what about the baddie? I mean, do you feel like you need to connect with, like, I hated, what's her name? The Imperial.
The officer.
Oh, jeez, I can't remember her name. And help us out.
I can't remember.
Anyway, it's been a while. But those two characters, her and the guy who was the low-level officer who they pulled from his job, like, that kind of stuff, like, she was creepy, man. Like, she was a really good villain, and he was just somebody you wanted to hate. Like, that's an emotion, you know what I mean? I don't have to be like, I love somebody. Like, I love to, like, hate people too. It's
and that was like that
sounds weird, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I
mean?
Yeah, those were. She was so good in that.
I think they did.
And I loved his mother. His mother sacrificed so much for the rebellion and to fight the Empire. I mean,
I think there were people in it that I did not like, and you're right, that is an emotion. But there was just nobody that I was really rooting for. Like, even the main character, I was never rooting for him.
Andor is not supposed to be. He's kind of an anti-hero. He's kind of a jerk. Like, at the beginning, they portray him as like he's borrowing money from people all over the place, and he really doesn't have any direction. And the whole point is his arc from, you know, where he's going to end up, and you know what he's going to do for the rebellion. And he learns this stuff from his mother and all these different people. And Skarsgård, man, damn, that was incredible. I mean, he was incredible, and everything that Mon Mothma goes through to keep a balance between being, you know, keeping herself ingrained in the Imperial Senate and stuff, and doing this clandestine rebellion stuff. It was great, man. I mean, yeah, you're not supposed to like Andor. Like, there really isn't a lot of people in here that, I mean, Mon Mothma is admirable, but she does some terrible things. She's marrying off her daughter to this guy to, you know, to keep things a secret, you know, to get some money for the rebellion. You know, not that her daughter cares, but you know,
I think that's
not always black and white. I think I like the gray. Yeah. I think I like the gray. I like gray.
And I don't think I would have like. I think I enjoy the fact that I watched it. Like, there were parts in it that I'm like, okay, that added more Star Wars lore for me, and I'm happy about that. I felt like the series drug a little too long. I felt like it could have been condensed by probably 2 episodes and moved faster. And then, like I said, there was just nobody that I was rooting for. And I think if there was even one person that I was just really behind and rooting for, that would have changed the series quite a bit for me. So
even B2 Emo, even in Emo, like that was a great droid, man. Like that was just like, I was emotional over that droid. Not since R2D2 have I been really emotional about a droid.
I think K2SO got me pretty close. They did a really good job with him.
He was great, great character, fun and funny, but like his death was kind of like, oh, he's a good guy. He's kind of a douche of a droid, but like, yeah, he's.
That's why I like
B2 the whole time is just like, he's like a little puppy dog. I want to please you. I want to please. I do this. You know, it's like, I love him, man.
The thing I really liked about Andor was that we got to actually see why the Empire was bad. I mean, yes, of course, the Death Star blows up Alderaan. So yeah, that was horrible. But like, we didn't get to see that any at that point in live action. We hadn't seen any of what it was really like living, other than a little bit in Solo, what it was like living under the Empire's rule.
Exactly.
So where he just gets arrested on that planet when he's like, "Oh, I'm just on vacation," and he's like, "Yeah, you." Then he gets arrested and thrown in jail just because he looked the wrong way or whatever. I think
basically it would have been kind of a life sentence had they not broke out, you know? Like,
yeah. I mean, I was rooting for it. No, even when you meet Andor at the beginning of Rogue One, Cassian, he's like, he murders a guy in cold blood because he's making too much noise. Like it's a leak, like, you know, and it's like, oh, this guy's messed up. Yeah. So like, but wanting to get, what I'm rooting for in this show is seeing him get to the point where he believes in the cause, to see how he gets to that point. And I mean, I know where it ends. So, but
he's kind of a balance between Stellan Skarsgård's character and what's his name? I'm blanking. The more militant underground. I'm very tired. I was up to
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera, who is more like, let's get in there and like, let's, you know, you got to do what you got to do, even if some people die, even if we have to sacrifice some people, you got to move the cause forward. You know what I mean? Which is where, you know, like he killed that guy in the beginning of Rogue One. It's like, hey, it's for the cause. You know what I mean? You got to do it. Got to shut this down.
I feel like that whole speech Skarsgård gives to his mole, the Imperial mole, so is just good. That is like such a that's where talking, that's where I like the talking in the explanation movie, because like you can't show that in that, like the stuff he, like that's something you showed that by building up who that character was until he gave that reveal. And
when it's drawn out like that and it's delivered like that, then a lot of dialogue and a lot of, you know, explanation behind who you are is fantastic, man. If you get a good actor to do that, you know, I mean, if he just like found ways to do it, like you were saying with Fantastic Four, it's like, I'm the smartest man in the room. You know, it's like, you know, you got to write that well, and you got to find the right time for a guy who's fairly quiet and about why he's doing things and how he does them to come out and say, you want me to tell you what I've sacrificed? You know, like, and this is like, oh shit, damn. Oh, okay.
But then you see him coming back from that mission when he rescues Andor at the beginning of the series, and he's going back to Coruscant, and he's like putting on his wig and like his face, and he's like practicing his smile, and it's like,
I love that.
Oh man, like this guy's gone through some stuff.
He's good.
He's got to play like this kind of quirky shop, you know, thing for like these super rich people, which, you know, he wants to do anything but sitting in that shop.
Oh yeah, he wants to kill all of them, everybody who comes in there.
I guess just the last thing that I've got on this. So there are certain series that I watch that afterwards I feel good. Like we were just doing the Ted Lasso review today with the Euro guys, and like I watch a episode of Ted Lasso, and even if it's a sad episode, I leave it kind of feeling good, you know. And then there's other series that I watch that, especially if I'm binging them, like if I'm binging Breaking Bad, I don't feel good at the end of the episode. Like I feel like it's bad, you know. And Andor is kind of one of those where I feel bad after watching it. It's like I don't know, like it doesn't feel hopeful. It doesn't feel like it's very I know Jesse and I have talked about. He struggles with in movies or TV, like if there's prison scenes and somebody's locked up and they're kind of, without hope of getting out and that kind of stuff. He struggles with that. And that's kind of what this series felt like to me. It was just like very, just not very hopeful, not very, not a lot to look forward to. So while I think there was a lot of interesting things that added to the lore of Star Wars, there was nothing in it that was like, yes, that's awesome, or I'm rooting for this guy, or this makes me feel good. And that's the part that I think missed for me.
It's a tale of sacrifice to get to that hope. You know what I mean? Like you have to. It's like saying like, we didn't just. I don't want to put it that way because like there was a lot of killing people there, but not like you have to fight for things. There's sacrifices to get sometimes to a place where, especially if you're being oppressed, people are going to die. You can't save everyone. It is kind of war is hell. It's terrible. And like, this is what they're in. They're in a clandestine war and sometimes an outright.
Well, and there's a reason that episode 4 is depressing. A New Hope. And this is what is leading up to it. So I get it. Like it makes sense. It just,
I will give you that like Star Wars, as great as it is more of a, how would I put this? It's more of a, it's kind of a take on what we think about as like the Arthurian legends, like being very simple. But if you read those, there's a little more deep context in those. But like, they're very surface. It's very black, literally black and white. I mean, the bad guys in black, the white, it's a little more deep than that. But Andor is a little more, I would say, adult Star Wars. You know what I mean? And here's the other thing. It's funny you say that because my wife is somebody who, while we can watch things that are like dark, she has to be in the mood. Like I'm like, oh, hey, you want to watch that document? No. Let's watch like a comedy or something. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay, fine.
Especially like
I love a comedy.
Especially
but I love a movie that I'm like, I'm in a ball on the couch, like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. I love that. I don't know. I love when something puts me in, makes me think about something or makes me feel like Punch Drunk Love. If you ever want to just curl up in a ball on the couch and go, oh god, just watch Punch Drunk Love. It's like that. It's great. I love it.
Well,
I don't know. I'm weird like that though.
Yeah, and I'm like the opposite. Like I need to like like another series I was just watching recently was Better Call Saul. And like a lot of people love the way that ended. I hated it. I'm like this. Like I want this guy to win at the end. Okay, like but it's same thing with Breaking Bad. It's like I want there to be a happy.
But it's a morality tale. He's not a good person. He's not a good person. As much as you're on his side, and the whole time you're feeling like, oh boy, I hope this just. Like, okay, he's got the money now, and maybe things will just be fine. And it's not going to be fine. It's not going to be fine. He's done too many bad things to too many people for it to be like, okay, and they live happily ever after. Like, I hate that. Like
I want a redemption though. I want it to be like Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi, and he has that moment where he turns on the Emperor, and even though he's done all this terrible shit, he had one moment that he had to make a decision and he chose the right way. And I want that moment at the end. And I don't get that in some of these series, and that it bugs me and eats at me.
A lot of people would say, was he really redeemed for killing like 24 children by, saving?
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, at least it's a small moment of humanity.
No. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Even not the throwing of the Emperor, but just the moment that he has with his son there on the Death Star. Like, it's just this moment where it's like, okay, there's some of him still left in there,
Okay. You should watch Michelle the Shell with shoes on. You'll love that. It's uplifting and upbeat and cute and adorable.
Okay.
It's great. I like that stuff
that's
too.
A trap.
No, it really is good. It's
okay.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's adorable. It's adorable. You know what I mean? Which is not a movie I usually watch, but it was fun. My wife made me watch it and it was good.
Danny or someone threw out Reign Over Me from Adam Sandler, and that movie is powerful too with Don Cheadle.
Reign Over Me. And what's the one where he's the gambler that he owns the jewelry store? It just came out
Uncut
a few years
Gems.
ago.
I
Uncut
haven't
Gems.
seen that
Oh
one.
my god, it's gut wrenching the whole time. You're like, oh, I hope he. And he's not going to. It's going to end terribly, and it's great. I love
it. A series that my wife and I have watched several times that is kind of that feel good is Anne with an E. I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix.
I think my wife was watching that,
and it's one of those where it's like, yeah, that makes me feel good watching it. Ted Lasso is one that makes me feel good watching it. So.
I tried watching Anne of Green Gables when I was a kid because everybody was talking about it at school. Like, well, maybe not everybody, but it was like talked about a lot. So I watched it one time and I was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen at that point in my life. Now, I'm not saying Anne with an E is the same because I know that's a newer.
Yeah, it's a newer series. Or whatever. I would tell you if you like Ted Lasso, you probably like Anne.
Oh, yeah. God, no, Danny. Curtis should not watch Hereditary or Mommy Dearest. No, that would be
no. Do not watch Hereditary.
I'll be crying in a ball.
Or Midsummer.
No.
Yeah.
Midsummer was probably one of the most traumatic horror movies I've ever watched, and it wasn't even for the horror aspects of it.
I didn't think it was that. I mean, I enjoyed it in that Wicker Man type way. Like, I thought Wicker Man was actually a better movie, even as dated. I don't know. It didn't get me. Hereditary is. Yeah.
So speaking of dark and depressing stuff, how about Frazetta?
Trevor, I'm so sorry.
Well, I will give you that some of the imagery is depressing, but it's really heroic, man. All right. Am I defending Frazetta now? Is this what it is? Defending Frazetta? That's the name of the show. Defending Frazetta.
You don't have to do it because Nate already did a great job defending Frazetta when he was on.
Frazetta, by many people's accounts, starting with the paperback books, the Conan paperback books, literally reinvented the sword and sandals look. If it wasn't for Frazetta doing those books of those covers of those books, there wouldn't be a lot of fantasy illustrators and artists doing what they do, and that look wouldn't have evolved into probably what we're playing with now, which is Mythic Legions. It was, I mean, not that you didn't have Hercules and other characters before that, but the way he drew them, the look of it, D&D, I mean, that's all that look. It's the dark, dungeon skeletons, it's just, and his style is, his anatomy is amazing, incredible. Man, 16 was published his first comic book, or in his first comic book at 16 years old. It's amazing.
I will say, I mean, just growing up a sword and sandals kid, loved Beastmaster and Conan and Clash of the Titans. Like, I understand a lot of the things that I love would not be what they are without Frazetta. I get that. Personally, I've never seen a piece of his work where I'm like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. Like, this is a god of art. And that's what I feel like I hear from other people. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And I appreciate that you like it. And I appreciate the influences that it had on things that I do love and a line of toys that I love. But I just don't see that. And so I just, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to presume, but like, if you went to a museum and you saw a Jackson Pollock exhibit, would you be like, I can see it on your face already. You're like, no, I don't get this.
No.
There is creation, you know what I mean? And then there's creativity. And it's like when anybody says, and I've seen this happen, like almost literally in a museum, my kid could do that, or I could do that, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it, and you couldn't do it as well as this is done. And yeah, I mean, Pollock is a polarizing artist. I mean, by all accounts, fantastic. Picasso, same thing. All these guys could paint beautiful portraits of people. They all are trained in like classical style. But then they take that and they break rules and make new things, and that's what.
See, I don't like broken rules. I like rules.
Oh, see this now. We're getting. You want to lay down because I think we're getting into something.
So like, and I'll talk about like, and mention this when Nate was on the show. Like,
I wanted to be a psychologist, by the way. So
okay, if you look at like Stephen Bisciotti's God's Fire characters, right?
Yeah.
Now, he's made God's Fire characters. I've made God's Fire characters. They're off the same bios. They're using the same buck body. His looks completely different than mine. He's got grass stains and blood and mud and dirt. And mine have like bright white uniforms and crisp lines, and everything is perfect. And they're like these like very beautiful knights. That's what I like. I like the crisp lines. I like
nothing wrong with that.
Bright colors. I don't want the dark, gritty, dirty, nasty. That's so.
Wow. We're getting into it. We're getting.
Man, I just
layers are peeling.
Right
layers are peeling. No, but somebody said it in the chat. Two things that I can't let go. I meant the original Wicker Man. I have to just go back to that because God, that other one is awful. Just going back, The Road, also a movie. If you want to, he said it's cut your veins, depressing. I loved it. Book was even better. But
I disagree with you on that.
Oh, the book not better than the movie?
I didn't like either one.
Oh, okay. That was fantastic.
Punctuation is important.
It's the art of that time frame. Aerithir Rising is saying nothing like it. Yeah, there is a time for certain things where if you look at it from a modern art stamp, again, like even going back to Byrne, if I said go back and read the Dark Phoenix saga, you'd look at it from a modern standpoint of reading comics and you'd be like, wow, this guy's like there's a lot to read here. There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of dialogue. You know what I mean? It's not the same bang pow stuff. Not to say that that's bad. It's just different. And that's what Frazetta was for his time. It was groundbreaking stuff and influenced so many people after him. And his anatomy is great. All right, maybe it doesn't knock your socks off. Maybe Pollock isn't your thing. Maybe Picasso isn't your thing. I don't know, Rembrandt. Maybe Rembrandt isn't your thing. I don't know. Different styles, though. I mean, it's all art, and it's all considered great. I mean, Kirk Hammett bought Frazetta for like $5 million, so it's got to be good, right?
I mean, if you got that money, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Just wanted to pull this up. It seems Curtis doesn't go outside the box.
No,
I don't. In fact, my mom still makes fun of me because I used to like yell about my sister coloring outside of the lines. And I would say, she's squibbling outside of the lines. And I would she was like 3 years old at the time. And I would just go and tell my mom because she needs to get in trouble because she's scribbling outside the lines. So yeah, you just don't do that.
Okay.
It's gotta be orderly. It's gotta be.
I don't know where to go with this. I want you to. I feel like giving you an assignment or something like that. But you don't have to change. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing, wrong with you that you can't do this. It's just like, I think that's where
there might be
lies.
A little.
might be some wrong with me.
Well, I mean, you could say the same thing about me.
Feeling very therapeutic.
I mean, I used to color inside the lines. I used to outline things in a coloring book, like with a dark. And then I would go in and light. I just had a style, fucking coloring book style, which is fucking insane. But I used to be very about that too. I wasn't somebody who's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do. And art wise, I'm a little more anally retentive, I think. But I'm open to looking at other things. Like I do admire other people's ability to go outside that. A lot of times with my photography, I'm like. It's hard for me to do these cross universe things. I have to have a really good idea and it has to kind of make some sort of sense. Like I put the Guardians of the Galaxy guys in the Death Star with the Stormtrooper uniforms holding Groot, with the handcuffs, you know what I mean, in place of Chewbacca. That made sense. But just throwing, a Stormtrooper in with, I don't know, Star Trek characters, unless it's amusing or ironic, I can't do it. I feel like, but I admire people who do it well and some humor or something like that. So
Yeah,
I get it.
I can do it with my art. I can't do it in practical life. Like I can't, like if I'm walking up to the doors at Walmart and there's like a line of people going in the indoor and I could just slip in the exit door, I will wait and walk in the inn. Like
wow. Okay.
Even when the doors were like blocked off and they were telling you like during quarantine, like when stuff was shut down and I had to go to the store, if the exit door was the door I had to enter in, like my brain was like, this is wrong. That stuff drives me nuts. But when it comes to creativity, storytelling, artwork, creative stuff, I can do whatever. But
that's the outlet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel that's what draws you to that stuff? That like, and to be able to do that's your outlet for letting go of all those restrictions and
no, I think for me the restrictions
barriers and things like that.
Those things are trying to keep with the flow for like everybody else, like the public awareness. Like driving up the wrong direction in the parking lot drives me nuts, because usually that means if I'm going the right way, I'm going to be the one that has to move over because you're already going the wrong way. So you're not going to acknowledge that. So I have to move over so you can go by me. Like that sort of stuff. It's more of, that's where that is all for me.
Have you ever tried to force yourself to not overcome, but like to break that and say, you know what? No,
I walked through the door once.
I'm going to be opposite George today and do everything opposite that I would normally.
I walked through the exit. I walked into a Walmart through the exit door, and like
something fell on your head, and that was it.
No, nothing happened. I just could not get to that store fast enough to like wash that off of me.
Okay. Okay. All right. I just want to say we're going into another half-hour session, so I'm going to have to bill you guys another $100.
Show.
So
we need to.
Curtis started it. He's footing the tab on.
Put that on the 1-6 Shooter channel. It's Therapy with Sessions with Trevor.
I swear to you, I thought about doing a toy therapy type of thing, like just talking through your collection and why, how can I get rid of this stuff? I just didn't think there was enough meat to it. But maybe, I don't know.
So like, here's one for me.
I'd watch that.
Like for photography.
Yeah.
I love looking at outdoor photography.
Yep.
I hate doing outdoor photography.
Same.
Because it's not clean and perfect, and like that
you can't control it. You can't control it.
The shot that I did for your guys, the pop and swap contest with the whole Black Knight,
it was fantastic.
That was I struggled with that for an entire 24 hours. Like, it was just because I knew I was going to have to go outside and lay down on the ground and try to get this shot. And I don't like the ground. I don't like dirt. I don't like bugs. I would never go camping. Like, it's off limits. Don't even. Yeah, that is.
It's not organized. It's not clean. It's
So getting that shot was
sand gets everywhere.
It you're talking about have you tried to break that and go against it? That is me. If you see me doing an outdoor shot or something, that is everything, me fighting every instinct that I have to try to do that.
That's good. All right. Well, I'm glad you did that then. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, well, I think I could say that because for me, again, like I said, it's weird because I'm I could do any, anybody could say something fairly spontaneous. If I had nothing to do and it's like, hey, you want to go, climb, wall climbing or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do it. But I don't like shooting for outside because you don't have control. I have complete control over my lighting inside, and I can recreate sunlight or anything I need. But I go outside, I'm at the mercy of clouds. I'm at the mercy of the time of day. I'm at the mercy of, so that's control, man. That's totally you don't have control. Well, plus you don't like dirt and you don't like, probably I'm guessing bugs and things like that.
No, I went to visit my kids in California and they said, do you want to go hiking? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like hiking, just go for a hike. And I'm like,
outside walking.
I'm like, why would you do that? And they're like, oh, you just get out and it's nature. You go for a walk and and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get why you would want that. it's outdoors out there.
Yes, it is, Curtis. It's yeah. There's air and the sunlight, and it's great. It's kind of nice. It's good. It's kind of the elements of life, but yeah,
not my thing. The same thing.
I would say I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I would break that. I'm not a beach guy either. I mean, I'm not a big beach guy. We'll sit there for a while.
It's very coarse. I don't know. It gets everywhere.
I know,
it's terrible.
But I mean, you don't have
give
to
me some indoors air conditioned. That's my vacation. Like,
wow,
I'm good. Yeah.
So I would. Again, I'm not here to give you advice or to tell you what to do, but like, there's a lot of good things outside, Curtis. There really is. It's really nice to see, and it is very it inspires creativity, and then like if you go places, then you get to see things aside from like the hotel.
Hey, I got myself to New Jersey. That was
right.
That was,
and you went outside. I saw you outside. You were outside. Yeah,
that was big for me. Like taking that trip and going, that was huge for me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, well, that's good. Baby steps, man. Baby steps.
Yeah. And it was very rewarding. So yeah, there's some good things by going outside.
Today, New Jersey, tomorrow, a hike in the woods.
There you go. Next week, I'll be leading the rebellion.
I mean, I remember,
but it's going to be very, very boring because it's all going to be inside the lines, and it's not
super boring.
Nobody's going to want to watch it because it's going to be.
I'm not going to be a character you root for. That's for sure.
I think I remember sleeping outside. I was at a friend's house for a couple of days in the summer 1 year after college. We were in somewhere up near Lake of the Ozarks, Curtis, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna sleep outside." I was like, "Oh, cool, you got a tent?" And they're like, "No, we're just gonna sleep on the grass." I was like, "Okay."
Oh, no.
So like, someone slept in a hammock. Someone gave me like the pads off of a lawn chair, and like I had never done no tent, no cover, no. It was just like 3 or 4 of us just like talking, looking up at the sky. It was awesome. Now, granted, I had a bunch of mosquito bites the next day, so that wasn't fun. But
yeah, it's I loved camping. I still like camping. It's a little bit of work, but my wife is not my wife is a 4 or 5 star hotel type person, and like we've gone camping, and she's been a sport about it, and it's cool. She would do it, but she's kind of like the mindset like, why?
I don't even know what that is. I don't know what spelunking.
Cave diving.
Oh yeah, cave diving. Yeah.
I don't.
I did that in Missouri too. I got to a point where they're like, "Oh, you got to get on your belly and crawl through that." At that point, I was like, "Nope, I am claustrophobic. I'm going to stay out here in this giant, massive cavern. You go ahead and crawl through."
I had a guy that I worked with ask me to go noodling. You ever like seen that?
Are you sure that's a thing? He just
It's a thing where they go down to the river and they like find these holes in the mud, like in the river, and then they shove their arm in these holes, and there's like these catfish that are like hiding in these holes, and they pull them out.
Oh,
like,
I've seen that. That's noodling. I've never heard that.
Yes, and they will just like, and so like this guy's like just pulling catfish out of the mud. No,
see. Yep. I'm with you there, man. I'll go to the deli and get some fish, man. Jesus, I don't need that. I don't like fish that bad.
Yeah, no.
I have noodled. I will noodle. I have. What was I going to say?
No, that's not for me. I'll go tubing down the river or something, but noodling
that I've done, and that I could probably get into again because I do remember having fun doing that.
I don't like heights, and it's not so much for me, but I have when we used to hike up this. Speaking of hiking, up this mountain in the Adirondacks, and at the top of it is this nice vista, and it's kind of a flattish surface that you can kind of just sit there and chill, and a bunch of people can kind of sit around. But people would have their kids, and there's an edge. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to go falling straight down, but you are going to go down a hill, a steep hill, and hit some trees and like possibly break an arm or die or whatever. And that freaks me out. It freaks me out more for the people who are around me than it does for me. Because I just, I have these pictures in my head of somebody falling, and not being able to do anything. But I've jumped from a plane, a perfectly good plane. And it was fantastic. And I would do it again if my wife would let me, but she's like, no, your insurance.
That's it. Once is enough.
No. I don't think I could do that. I've done hot air balloon a couple times, but I don't think I could skydive.
That scares me more than skydiving, actually, the hot air balloon, because you don't have any safety equipment. If that thing goes down, you're done.
True.
You know? Yeah.
Okay. So we've come, I mean, we've started with these things we're very much in different sides on, but I think we've come to some sort of resolution.
Have we?
Now it's time to hit you with the hard one.
Oh boy.
Was there a blue light on Dubon?
Oh, Jesus Christ. No. he's blue. Did you get him? He has a blue-gray armor or a gray-blue armor, whichever you'd like to see.
I just want to set the record straight. So you're saying there was no blue light involved.
All right. You know what? Here's the thing. Okay, so have you ever shopped for clothing like on Amazon or something like that? And unless it's a black T-shirt, okay, like you're looking at colors and you get it and you go, oh, that's not the brown that I saw. You know why? Because you're not going to capture it in every light. You know, I'm not taking these pictures in bright sunlight or, 7,000 degree Kelvin light. You know what I mean? There's a nice warm light over here. There's a cooler light over there. There's some bounce cards, and then it's dark. You know what I mean? So that's it. So this is what the camera is capturing. Now I also have to go in and edit these things a little bit. And sometimes when you're tweaking things, you can alter things a little bit here and there, but I try to keep, to what I shot. I don't really alter that much. It can happen. Sometimes it might be a little more blue, but oh my God. I mean, come on. The consternation.
I feel like this is exactly the
fucking color of your fucking toy, man. To be perfectly blunt. Give me a fucking break. You know what I mean? Like, Like you're never gonna buy a pair of a pair of pants from whatever LL Bean and then go over to what's the other place? Whatever, the Gap, and get a shirt online and go, oh, those are going to look great together, and then get them and go, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't. It's not going to do it. It's not for color matching. You know what I mean? We're not color matching here. It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You can't go by that and say, oh, hey, wait a minute. This didn't look like the green that I saw. No, it's not. It's not going to look exactly like the fucking green that you saw in the picture. Okay. I mean, it's going to be close, but it's not going to be perfect.
First of all, like monitor colors are not true.
That's the other thing. What are you looking at on your phone? Your uncalibrated monitor, a calibrated monitor, your TV, you're blowing it up projection in the backyard and, outside the swimming pool. Like, it's going to look different in all these different places, man. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. Let it go.
Here's what I'll say. I got the figure in hand. I did think it looked a little different in hand versus what I saw in the pictures, but then I took it outside and it looks completely different in natural light than it does in other light. And I've got fluorescent lights in the kitchen and incandescent lights.
That's a cool blue light that actually has some blue in it.
Yeah, depending on what light you're in. And I'm not using it's not like I'm shining a blue light on this thing. But if you go,
no, I don't use color lights to shoot these things.
Natural light,
yeah,
it looks different, and it's just the way that paint works in that figure. But
and I will also say,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, when this came out and people started getting this in hand, and the whole, people were losing their minds. That same week, you put up this shot. And I'm like, now Trevor's just fucking with him. Like now he's just.
But completely different because this is an environment shot. They don't.
Right.
I go nuts with the environment shots. If you looked at any figure in an environment shot, it's never gonna even represent the colors on this thing. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Because here I'm using pink. It was a style that we were using for this series of images. And yeah, you can't even see the orange really that's on this character. It's not the point. You've already got a picture of what it looks like. This is what you're buying. This is a sexy shot in all sorts of crazy lighting. It's not the same.
I totally get it. Yeah. I thought it was funny. Like I saw this, Trevor's just feeding the trolls now. He just
I look at the things like I'll hold them and look and my monitor is calibrated, but it's calibrated for for print. So there may be some discrepancies sometimes depending on the color, and that is a color shift paint. So again, it's like got kind of the flecks of metal in it. little flecks of blue in it. So again, like that's that kind of thing where you look at it in one light, and the blue light, the fluorescent light, makes it look really blue, and the warm light makes it look more gray. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Get over it. It's a toy, for God's sake. It's not like I sold you a car.
Yeah.
And you got it. It was like a blue car, and then when you got it, it was a gray car. And you're like, wait a minute. No, come on. Stop.
The figure's amazing. The pictures are amazing. You are a fantastic photographer. I've got your calendar right next to me. I gave it to my wife after Legions Con, and she just absolutely loves it.
I saw it on your tour. I watched your tour the other day.
She every time she switches to a new month, she's like, "Oh, did you see this month's picture yet?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." So yeah, just listen. Now I know I got to troll you when stuff like that happens, though.
Oh yeah, I know.
But
so now you said it's dead, but I control. It's kind of like it's my joke to do now. Like
there you go.
I can do it. Nobody else can do it. It's over.
It's like nobody can talk about my baby being ugly, but I can talk about my baby.
Exactly like that. Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, we've officially. I think that's everything that we disagree on, unless I'm missing something.
Is it?
I'm sorry, Trevor. I did not realize this was going to be just Curtis.
Oh no, you did. You set it up last week. We're like, hey, if you want to hear
expected this.
Trevor and Curtis go at it, tune in next week.
I figured that'd be just a little bit of the conversation. Like we didn't talk about any of his photography other than that little bit.
The best part of it, right?
Yeah, we can definitely pull up his Instagram and take a look at some stuff. But
I already have it pulled up.
I mean, who doesn't
go
know
through some stuff,
Trevor's awesome work though? So
there's some different stuff that I think a lot of people who watch this probably or in the Cabal haven't really seen. I mean, I don't know how many people are all following.
I'm still waiting for you to shoot the Myth Vengers. Like, what's going on with those?
So am I. Okay, look at my feed, and this isn't my feed, but like if you looked at my feed, it's this basically. Oh, this is my feed. Good Lord, it is my feed.
Yeah, this is your page.
It's like it's all promo shots, man, because this is all I've had time to do for the last 3 months, man. I haven't had a chance. I got a May 4th shot out with the Emperor.
What's that?
That was it.
Vehicle there.
I love that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite, most recent shots, man. So these are Joy Toy. Yeah, that one.
That's cool.
Joy Toy 3 3/4 figures, and they're awesome, and vehicles are great. This is a style. This is kind of this colorway, and kind of the stuff that I did on the Outpost Zaxius that I want to go down. There's an artist. I'm blanking on his name right now because I'm very tired, but he has this kind of sci-fi style, and it's kind of very, deep tones, jewel colors and stuff like that. And I really dig it. And I really
now, is that an outdoor shot or is that a background?
That is an indoor shot. That is an indoor shot in front of a digital screen. That's what I'm saying. Like I can reproduce sunlight. I don't want to go out in the sunlight. Not that for photography reasons, not that I don't want to go out.
Well, it's really cool because the light in the background is like the same color light that you're seeing on the tires and stuff. So you were able to create that lighting effect. That's really cool.
That is a key. Like I tell people, because I do on Tuesdays, I do on Maz's Toy Box channel, we do some reviews of people who are newer to toy photography and the people who've been with us for a while. And one of the keys, if you're going to use like a digital backdrop, like this is a TV screen behind this, you've got to look at the light and where it's coming from, because you'll see people who do like a blue sky where the sun is maybe at noon, in the picture. Coming straight down. There's no cloud. There's no there's no shadows or anything that would be creating because it's high noon, which is you never take a picture at high noon because you're not going to get any kind of interest out of it. It's the golden hours. It's 5 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever. So you have to look at this and go, okay, where's the light coming from? It's the sun. It's a sunset, right? There's the sunset, and now the clouds, are turning purple, like in that sunset way, and that color is going to bounce off different things. So that's why. It really wouldn't be, the front of the thing wouldn't really be that purple probably, but it would be reflecting a little bit from the light that's still coming from the sky. And the background is the sun setting. So you place a light over in that area that's low, like a setting sun. And it's pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? Like you just have to match what's in the image.
Now, like
when you're doing all that, but
when you're doing a shot like this and you got it up like on 2 wheels, I'm guessing you had that propped up with something.
Yeah, there's some Photoshop here in that back wheel. I try to do practical as much as I can. I don't like, not that I don't like Photoshopping. My original work was like almost all Photoshop. There's an image, you'd have to scroll for a while, but there's an image of two snowtroopers that basically it's them on a black background and the rest of it is all Photoshopped. And it looks pretty good. It looks like, a real. So I can do Photoshop, but I try to keep things practical for the most part. But
so with for somebody that doesn't really use Photoshop or no, like let's say you're doing one with like a flying pose, like using a flight stand or something.
mm-hmm.
How do you go about like taking that out of the picture? Like, what does that process look like?
Okay, so the best way to do that, you're gonna have to use
Like
something.
this.
You don't have to use. Okay, so you don't have to use Photoshop necessarily if you don't want to pay for Photoshop. There are phone apps, and but there's phone apps that will take it out. There's other apps that, the new Photoshop is basically like freaking magic at this point. You know what I mean? They're using AI to like you circle a part and you're like, just take this out and make it part of the background. And there's other ways. There's been other ways to do that. The easiest way I can tell you to do it though, if you've got a background or even if you're shooting outside, put the figure on the flight stand. You got to have a tripod. You can't be hand holding it. Fix the camera. Take as many shots as you want with the figure, posing it, moving it around.
Right.
Take the whole figure out of it. Take a shot then of just the background.
Mm-hmm.
Then you layer them in whatever editing program you're going to use. Meaning there's one layer, which is your photograph of your figure. And there's another layer that's a photograph of just the background by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can literally just erase that top layer. Like you can use what's called a mask and you're literally going to paint over the stand and it's going to disappear. It's going to look like the sky is coming right through it. It's really, really easy. It's a great way to do it.
That's
Danny's saying.
I do. There's a video. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying. Danny says for a phone, he suggests polish and color.
Okay,
I'm guessing that's an app.
Yeah, I don't know too many of the phone apps. There is a video just to plug of the Nosferatu shot that I did a while back with these bats coming out that I show you exactly how to do that. So if you want to see it in action, you can see it.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, look at that Templar shot up there. That was nice.
That's nice.
Yeah. Look at that.
Nice and clean lines.
Very.
He's not a dirty Templar.
I love that.
Yeah, I love
you know what that means
on these things, man. What's up?
They haven't seen any battle.
That's fine. They're protecting the temple. They're waiting.
Yeah, they're pious.
Yeah.
Lilith is one of my favorite shots.
She's fantastic.
So, for myself, this is just a selfish question. I don't know if anybody else cares. Okay. Like, I take every photo that I take with my phone, and it never looks the way that I want it to. And obviously, I need to get a camera, but I just don't want to. Like, I don't.
Frazetta. Go down, Jesse.
I don't do enough photography that like I want to spend crazy bucks on a camera. Okay. What do I need to look for if I'm going to do, let's say 3 or 4 photos a month, but I want them to look good? What do I need to look for?
I mean, phones. If you've got the latest version of, you have an iPhone.
Yeah, iPhone, whatever.
The only thing is, like it's kind of the thing with the iPhone is it digitally approximates, like when you see things out of focus, it's I don't know if you know that it's bokeh, right? Like you see it's like so that's a low f-stop, like a 4 or something like that, or a 2, and it gives you that. Well, the phone like kind of fakes that digitally. You know what I mean? It does it. It picks out. But they do have good cameras. But I would say you could get a cheap body used even $300-$400. I mean, you're going to have to invest some money. I mean, if you really want to do it, the lens is important. The lens is more important, but you could get a 40 millimeter. I would suggest a macro lens just in case you do want to get in tight and take a, clean shot of like the upper body or the face or something. Or for what you're doing with painting, you want to get like a real detail and show everybody how much work you put into it. A macro lens. You can get a 40 millimeter macro lens for 180, $200. So all in, you're like $500, and you could get a good setup, a good tripod too, obviously. But
and for the camera, what you said, body camera, is that a type of camera?
No. You could, and really anything is good. I'm a Nikon shooter, and I would suggest Nikon. You can get mirrorless, which is like all digital now. When you're looking through the viewfinder, you're actually seeing a digital reproduction of what you're going to see. So when you change settings, you actually see what the picture is going to look like, as opposed to older DSLRs. When you look through, you kind of guess based on what your settings are, what it's going to look like. I mean, you can look at the camera and see what you've got after that. But like with the mirrorless, you see it. They're also a little faster, whatever. But they're expensive still. So I would go with just the DSLR, entry-level camera. Don't buy the kit lens thing on Amazon that comes with like the variable lens. They suck. The variable lenses suck. Get a fixed lens, 40 millimeter, 50 millimeter, not expensive, $500, $600. Nikon's good. Canon's good. Sony's good. A little more expensive, I think, usually. But yeah, any of those things. But it's going to cost you $500 or $600 to get a decent starting setup. So it's not cheap.
And this is going to sound like a really dumb question because I don't know. Like I said, all my stuff is on my phone, and then I just post it from my phone. So when you've got it on your camera, then I'm guessing you just like plug it into your computer and upload it from there. Is that how that works?
You can do that. Usually there are, depending on the camera you get, there are cards, little memory cards, depending on which kind. They're smaller or larger. And you can get a reader if your computer doesn't have something built in. A lot of laptops have it built in now, but there's so many varieties of them. You usually need an adapter to plug it into, but you can just simply plug in your camera. And gotcha. I use Lightroom to bring everything in. I mean, you can literally just grab them off the phone and pull them into a folder if you want to. Something like Lightroom, or I think it's called One. It's a little more pricey. You can, and I think there's a free version of Lightroom or something like that. I don't know, or a junior version, whatever. It's just great for organizing and doing basic editing on there, like color correction and stuff, and making things more blue if you'd like to do that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, there's an investment in time and money into doing. You can do it on the cheap, and I see people doing stuff with with iPhones all the time. It's fantastic stuff. It just takes a little more work on the back end, to clean things up and stuff. But it's great.
All right. Sorry for monopolizing the conversation, Jesse. Have at it.
That's all right. We just pulled up some of these Frazetta inspired shots Trevor took.
Yeah, I was super happy with this one. This one actually, his granddaughter and daughter run a page, and they reposted this on Twitter, and so they loved it, which was really cool. I mean, can't get Frank's approval anymore, but they liked it, so it's close enough.
But see, I like this because it is still crisp and clear. Like it's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, even though it's inspired by Frazetta, like I like this better than like a Frazetta art piece.
Okay. All right.
So
I mean, this is as close as I could get to the original. The original, I have it further down when I first posted this, but this was kind of a tribute on his birthday. And the second one is, of course, the Death Dealer that I did for May 4th, which is, the samurai Darth Vader and the TIE fighters in the background and stuff. I was happy with this one too. They like this one too.
No, the
cool
first
people.
horse here.
The family's cool.
Is this is the old McFarlane Headless Horseman horse, right? From Sleepy
Hollow?
Hollow?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's it worked out really well for the size of this figure. I didn't have a black horse at the time. I was dyeing one, and it hadn't dried, or I don't know. Maybe I didn't start it yet. But it worked out well for that. And this of course is a Mythic Legions horse. This is the horse that I dyed. I had to wait like a month for that thing to dry, man. It took forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Which
I put it out in the sun, like Nicole said to do. It's a Balius that I just dyed black. But it took forever.
Doesn't it have like the other feet though?
Oh no, you know what? It's not a Balius. It's an Aethon that I dyed black. Yep.
But you changed the main out?
Changed the main out, yeah. Now, the mistake I made was that I dyed the main too. The wild main that came with him. That didn't work so well. That warped it because of the heat of the water and stuff. So don't do that.
Gotcha.
Just spray paint that if you want to do this. Yeah.
I dyed mine, but I turned the water down. Like I bring the water to a boil, make sure it's really boiling, and then I would dial it back to about mid-level, and then
I did the same thing.
For like an hour.
But but those rubber parts, those flexible rubber parts, will warp, and then they won't sit quite as well in the slots on the head. So just forewarning.
Didn't you say that you had some issues with your staying in there too, Jesse, after you did there? I thought on your video.
I think I was afraid to push it in.
Oh, okay.
I think it did. The hairpiece might have warped a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I think that one was always a little off anyway. I don't know. I know I was. I think what I did was I dyed it, but then I also painted it, and I think I like shoved the tweezers I was holding the paintbrush with, or the hairpiece with, and I think it like me pushing on the rubber of the hair like tweaked it even more. So,
gotcha.
Also, I was afraid to push it too hard.
Gotcha. Is this one of those like Star Wars samurai type figures? Is that what that is?
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Jesse, can I share something really quick?
Yeah.
Just bring me up
you?
there. I've just put it down on the bottom there. If you give me, I can share it. You have to actually push the button to say put it on the screen.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's the same shot, but this is what it was inspired by. Cool. This is a behind the scenes. So let's talk about practical. Like this is just cotton, spray painted a little bit gray and black. This I don't even think I colored orange. Just it's the light underneath it is making it orange. And that's it, man. I mean, it's some fog on top of that, and that's what it looks like, which is pretty awesome. That's pretty cool.
I love the TIE fighters being the carrion birds.
The carrion birds, the vultures. Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun one for sure. Yeah. This was the one that the bats. There was wires on all these bats, so I show you how to shoot it, take the bats and the wires out, shoot it without them, and then just go in there and mask them out. So
very cool.
Yeah. Anything else you want to see? Stop.
Danny asked if you could speak about the golden triangle for beginners.
The golden ratio? The golden ratio? Or the golden triangle? I don't know about the golden.
He said golden triangle. I think he means the golden ratio.
Yeah.
The triangle's isn't that like the positioning in the frame?
Well, there's the rule of thirds, which is probably related. I honestly don't know if I've ever used the golden triangle. Let me see if I can bring something up here really quick. If you got anything else, I can try and bring something up and show you in Photoshop what that is. But I gotta find a picture first here. So if you got another question
I love that Conan with the orc picture there on the screen. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
golden
not
ratio. It means golden ratio.
He does mean the golden ratio. Okay, yeah, because I hadn't heard the golden triangle before. It sounds like a great place to eat, though.
Yeah, I just did a Google search for it, and it was bringing up like places.
Yeah, the Golden Corral, probably.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one. Damn it. I gotta look through this real quick. Because there's some shit. I want to find one where it works, because it doesn't always need to be there. But basically, all right. Let me see if I can find this Spider-Man one, and I'll bring it up into. It's not.
You want me to drop that out?
You give me 1 second, and I will bring this up if I can find it really quickly.
Okay. Pull that out for a moment.
Spider-Bot. Then that was close. Filled in. God, where is this? Jesus, where is it? No, that's not it. Spider-Bot? No. That was close. I don't know. No, damn. I have these so well organized. I must have this under Miles or something like that instead of. I do. I have it under Miles Morales. Instead of Spider-Man, I have this under Miles Morales. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share Photoshop.
Okay.
So, okay. Let me know when it's up.
It's up.
Okay. So here's your crop. If you go into crop in Photoshop or other applications and you click into here, here's the golden ratio, or here's the rule of thirds. I'm sorry. So the idea of the rule of thirds is to not, you can center an image, but what makes it more interesting is when, it's on the idea is it's kind of your focal point, which in this case is Miles's face, is on one of these points, any one of these points. Or thereabout. It doesn't have to be right in the middle. It happens to be right here, but it could be like a little off as long as it's in the general vicinity of those. That's the rule of thirds. Instead of lining up your picture right in the middle, try and line it up on one of these lines here. You can also line it up with one of these columns, but it's better. These are the points. These are the magic points. And if you look at this, you can go, okay, there's a grid. There's another type of composition grid, which doesn't really work here. This kind of works here. And these are triangles, but it all kind of relates back to the golden ratio. Like you can see how this is more of a motion thing, and you can see how he kind of fits in here, and then the line up here kind of follows the webbing. So it shows you that this is working out as a pretty well. This is a modified rule of thirds. And then this is your golden ratio. So here's your golden ratio. And if I hit shift, I can move this around. I think it's shift, or is it option? Oh, shit. It's not. Hang on a second. Oh, do I have to do that all over again? Oh, for God's sake. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right. Option. I could. What happened? What the hell is it? Sorry. I do this by rote.
It's okay.
And I can't control. What the hell is it?
It's like,
it's option.
It's like breathing. When you start thinking about it, it stops working.
I don't know what the hell.
Don't anybody think about breathing right now?
Are you kidding me?
Maybe that's just me.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it's shift. So I can move this around into different positions because it can work. This here, when it gives you this, isn't really the golden ratio because it warps the hell out of it. It's really when it's like this, or like this, or like that. But you can see on that second one, if I go back to it, okay, this here, right there. So you can kind of, what it is it kind of like you follow this sweep. Your point of interest should be right around this dot. So this doesn't follow the golden ratio perfectly, but the point of interest is in the general vicinity. And there is this movement too, like it kind of follows this sweep. It doesn't have to, but things like the webbing and his legs and his waist lead your eye to the point where you want the person to look at. You know what I mean? You're leading them into the photograph and kind of like making it interesting. Or they've started on the face and their eye moves outward from there. You know, that's the kind of the idea of the golden ratio. It's basically that point you see there is kind of the same point that's on the rule of thirds. It's a little bit off. The ratio ends up about here and this ends up about here. That's all it is. It's really not complex. You'll see this grid in your camera most of the time, the rule of thirds, if you turn it on. So it helps you when you're taking the picture. But
no.
That's more for like cropping things afterwards. Yeah.
The way you have it here, is there another line across the top, like going through like where his eyes and wrist are?
What do you mean?
Because the way I'm seeing it, I see three lines. I see a horizontal line across like right at his waist, going left and right across the screen.
Wait a minute, let me go back to right here, right? This
line?
And
then there's two vertical ones, one going up through his eyes, and the other one going up through his outstretched hand. Is there another line in the top half of that?
No. So this creates this. What this does is it breaks it into three parts. Basically, it's a tic-tac-toe board. It's the rule of thirds. There's a third, a third, and a third, and a third, a third, and a third, and a third. All right. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm seeing 6 total rectangular sections.
Yeah, it's not so much the sections. It can be the sections. You're not really lining up with like this square or this square or this square. You're lining up with the points where they meet. So right about where my mouse is here.
You're circling there. See, I'm not seeing that second horizontal line there on my screen until you move it.
Oh, really? Let me zoom in. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Still interesting.
Yep.
I don't know. You guys not see a line?
Now I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's this point right here. It's where they intersect. Is kind of your point that you want to like sort of line up your figure with, or your point of interest. It doesn't have to be your figure's head. If it's holding something and you want that to be like the head could be over here and his hand could be in focus if I wanted to like have him holding something, you know what I mean? And
he's holding back a grenade that he's throwing, or
or a pumpkin bomb that and he's throwing it back at the Green Goblin, and it's really you want to focus on that pumpkin bomb and not his face, like that. You focus and have the hand there, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things you got to play with and kind of see how it works. It's not a hard and fast rule either. I know a lot of people who don't. It doesn't have to be this balanced, and sometimes off balance stuff makes it a little more interesting too. So, that's it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. That's a good question, Danny.
Quick lesson.
So
not so quick lesson, but sort of.
All right, let me flip the script here just a little bit.
My brother's saying the golden triangle is one of those overlays too. I think that's what that angle I haven't heard it called the golden triangle, but it probably is. Yeah.
All right. So critique my photo here. Like what should don't beat me up, but like what could I have done differently?
This is a good photo. It's because you got some nice light and shadow here. I don't know what you're lighting it with, or
it's in a photo box, and then I've got the light above in the photo box.
So the photo box gives you like kind of overall light, and it's a great thing for like product shots, like for eBay, like if you're taking a shot, and it works for this kind of stuff. And it looks good. It just doesn't have that depth. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like there's it's not dramatic. In other words, you know what I mean? It's a nice way to display a figure like this and show people this is what it looks like. And that's really your objective here. You're not trying to make it look
right. I'm just trying to show this custom, and I've put these parts together and show it off. But
now, if you want to take the next shot and you want to do some action shot and really show them like really cool and not have to worry about the whole body, but you really want to make it look cool, that's when I would take it out of the photo box and you can use a lot of different lights. If you got a hue bulb or something, if you want some color. And really, you can use one light bulb and use a bounce card, which is basically just a white card, foam core, or a piece of paper is a little flimsy, but you could. And what you're doing is you're bouncing that light. And generally, you want to do that like you want to have it behind it, so you're getting what's called a rim light, which is like that nice outline light behind it. So if the background is black, you get a light that kind of defines the, let me see if I can find a picture like that, but it defines the shape of the figure behind it. And then a key light, which is like your main light that maybe comes down, I don't know if you can see my hand, but about here at an angle towards the face. There's something called Rembrandt lighting, which is when you get a little kind of triangle of light on the cheek on this side. This side is lit up for the most part, and then the other side, the light just cuts across the nose. I'm talking way too much, and it creates a little triangle. But I think I have some portraits that I can show you that are like that. But that might be a little more dramatic. You know what I mean?
How about like this one?
Okay. Now again, is this in the photo box too?
No, this is actually
natural light.
Kitchen counter, and that is my black refrigerator behind it.
And is window light? Is that window light? It's creating that.
I believe I had a loom cube, and the rest of the lights in the house were off. It was just my loom cube pointing at it.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. I would say this is more what I'm talking about. Like, so you've got the left, camera right or his left lit up with the loom cube, and then there's nothing on the other side.
No.
How are you
there
getting
might
light
have been some light coming in from the other room, but that would have been about it.
Okay. Interesting, because it looks like where is the Loom Cube placed? Is it kind of like front of him?
I believe on this one I had it low and pointing towards him.
Okay.
I think
generally you'd want it above,
right
like it creates some like kind of evil shadow. You don't have enough.
Okay.
It's not dark enough here to create that evil shadow, but if you take a flashlight and you put it under your face, and you get those weird shadows and stuff. So generally that's maybe for an evil character, which he kind of is. It kind of works, but this looks so brightly lit. I don't know if you like put it into something that like, if I feel like there's either top lighting or overhead lighting or window lighting coming from somewhere. I don't know.
Well, it's in my kitchen, so there's a window. I mean, it was
okay.
like midday.
So you're getting ambient light. You're getting ambient
a little
light.
bit, yeah. Okay. I mean, I had the curtains closed, but there was still some light coming through. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, but this is nice.
But as far as like the placement of the foot, like because you were talking about like the third, like obviously this is straight down the center. Does this work?
Again, for this, you're doing a post that says, "I'm absolutely loving this Mayfix Cyberward Superman," and you're kind of showing the figure. I mean, there's a lot of people like Jay Hernandez who, at this point, he gets thousands of hits and likes on a picture where he holds it in his hand.
Okay,
it's kind of his thing. Like he's just showing off the figure, putting it in a cool pose. So for that, this is great. If you're trying to do kind of more like what I'm doing is more like environmental, putting it in a, buildings, or there's rocks behind them or something, that's going to be a different lighting situation. For what you're doing here, this is fine. This is better than fine. This is really good. There's why? Because there's nice, you can see nothing's blown out. It's not too bright. There's nice shadow, underneath the arms and stuff like that, under the cape and stuff. You're not pointing. A lot of people will like point a light directly at the front of the figure, and it just lights it all up and then creates a shadow on the backdrop. In this case, your refrigerator. And it looks like crap. It looks like you've just thrown a spotlight on somebody in a prison. You know what I mean? It looks terrible. But this is good. No, what you're doing is good here. This is good.
Okay. I just wanted to get some critique. So appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah.
Jesse, did you have any others that you wanted to pull up with Trevor's?
I mean, I could have spent the whole 2 hours going through those.
Another show. We'll do another show.
I did want to pull up. Oh, I can't scroll.
I'm pulling up this one because this, I think, is one of my favorite shots I've ever seen of yours. I just love this picture.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about this one? Like what went into getting this shot here?
Yeah, I think there's a BTS here. I think it shows a little bit, but I can talk about it. Well, if you look at that, so I gotta say, I've been using this is a stock photo that I have a stock service, so I pay for these things. I don't like using other people's stuff off of Google for my work, because it's like, if you're doing it for fun, who cares? Who cares really? But I've been using AI generated backgrounds lately, and it's pretty cool. I have to say, it's pretty cool. But this was a stock photo I found, and I wanted it to be like bamboo trees from a very low angle, almost a worm's eye view. That's what it's called, like from the ground up. And I found one. Luckily, it was great. Just to fill in, because like a lot of times when you use a digital background, where people are starting out, they just put the digital background there, and then they put the figure there. And if they don't light it, like we were talking about earlier with the car, to match the background, it looks like a figure standing in front of the screen. What can help with that is to have other objects in between, a foreground, a middle ground, which is usually your figure, and a background, which is your digital screen. So in this case, I use these leaves that I found at a pet store, just to break that up, and it gives it depth. Like, the figure is in focus, the leaves are a little less in focus, and then the trees behind, which are the furthest things away, are even more out of focus. So, and he's just laying at an angle. I just shot it, down at an angle, basically. That's it.
How do you not get the light to reflect off of the surface of the screen?
So if I don't know if I show the light in this, do I? That's a problem with that. Back behind the scene, I didn't show what I did. So I have a big overhead soft box. So a soft box, probably most people know what that is or have seen something like that. What I use something called cinefoil, which is like a flat black foil. You can get it in a roll. It'll last you probably your whole life. And I clip that on there, and I use it as what's called a flag. So anytime you've got like especially a digital shiny surface, and you can see that light that's sitting right there. I don't have one on there because it's out of camera range, but I will, and you never know when it's going to come in. You got a light shining on your figure and you see like a brightly lit spot on your digital background when you take the picture, and you're like, where is that coming from? You got to figure it out. You can take a little of the cinefoil and just wrap it around the side that's, that's on the side of the television. You know what I mean? So you can block the light, basically. It still hits the figure coming forward, but it doesn't hit the TV, and it gets rid of all the reflections. So that's how I do it. Yeah.
Okay. Cody jumping in. So talking about having a straight on shot and then a creative one at what it's getting at.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, that can be fun if you've got the time to do it, but it's not an easy thing to do if you don't have a lot of time. If you just want to get out like, hey, just got this just came in the mail and it looks really cool, like just throw it in your hand. I mean, honestly, people like hand shots. I think I get less likes than Jay Hernandez gets just holding it in his hand. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
And I think you addressed, as he's saying, you're using copyright free images, and you said some sort of stock thing that you paid for.
Correct. Yeah, they're royalty free. Basically, you can use them. And again, yeah, I also, this is an unusual thing where I've used a lot of it as the backdrop. Generally, I try to keep it at like 30% of the shot is like a background image. Monkey King was a little different. Like those are all AI generated backgrounds. So if you look at the new shots, not that one, but sorry, the skeleton ones. Yeah, they're like that. So those trees back there, you see the moon and the trees and the clouds. So I went into Midjourney and told it to give me like a spooky, misty forest, graveyards, graves, and it just generated like 4 images. I changed one. I took it into the new Photoshop, which you can literally just stretch out the picture in terms of giving it more space on either side, and then select those spaces. Emil has something up now on his about it, Instagram about it, and say generate, and it will continue the picture out wider. It's nuts.
Oh, that's wild.
It's nuts. So it gives you a square, and then I widened it out with using Photoshop to a wider shot. It's nuts. It's great for this stuff because this is all copyright free stuff. I don't have to worry about even using anybody else's work. Not that this isn't stealing from someone else's work somewhere down the line, but that's a whole other discussion.
Jesse, can you pull up the Father Christmas one?
I don't think so.
Thanks. Appreciate it. That
which one?
Yeah,
the middle one?
That one. No, that one, and then the one above it on the next row. I just, yeah, this is awesome. Like the whole feel. And I know you had said you kind of, you bought something for this, or did you make that diorama?
That whole diorama in the back is I made. Yeah, it's like you go to Hobby Lobby and you get the dollhouse windows, and it's foam. I printed out some wallpaper and pasted on there. Yeah, it took a while to make that, but it was worth it, man. I put some wainscoting on there. It's a good like Bruce Wayne Manor thing, or something like that. It worked perfectly for this because it just has that Victorian feel to it. So.
Have you been able to use that for anything else since this, or is that just kind of a one and done kind of diorama?
No, I actually made it I kind of made it just to make it, but then Hasbro sent me the Hellfire Club figures to shoot for a promotion, and I used them as the interior of the Hellfire Club because it's, in fact, the painting there is the same one I used. It's 2 guys playing chess, and the Hellfire Club and X-Men are all about like, chess pieces, the king and the queen. So yeah, I kind of built it for that, but I kind of built it because I really wanted like something. But I use it all the time. And the great thing about like if you build a wide diorama, you can use it for many pictures at different angles, and people don't even realize that it's the same thing. You can see this in a lot of different pictures. In fact, the one I did with Theodore Sodcutter that's supposed to be like the Scrooge thing is the same setting. It just you don't see as much of it. Yeah, that one right there. Same background, that's the painting right there. But, there's not much being seen there, so you wouldn't really say, oh, hey, that's the same diorama you just used.
And then I like the one right there with him. Yeah, That's cool. Just sleeping by the fire.
So that's a little Photoshop because I painted that face, I painted that sculpt, and he's got open eyes, obviously, but I just went in and photoshopped the eyes closed. So
yeah, too many cookies and you pass out. I've been there, man. It's
hell yeah,
it happens.
Trying to find an example of Rembrandt lighting to show you what that is like, but yeah, you can keep going.
I really love this one too. I mean, I like all of these. They're
this is one of my recent like favorites, and I have to always shout out Nate because I had a different version of this where the guy on the the guy with the shield, I don't know, left, but camera left. His eye line, which is important. This is the kind of details once you get past getting the lighting right and stuff, then you making sure that feet are planted if they're supposed to be standing on flat ground, and hands are turned the right way and all that stuff. And his line of sight was not right onto that wolf in the front. It was kind of off. And I was looking at it like, oh, well, there's other wolves off camera or whatever, but it works so much better. He's like, maybe you just changed the line of sight, that guy looking, and he's looking right at that wolf, and it just really works really well. So thank you to Nate for that. Sometimes you got to have people just pull you back from like, dude, go do it again, man. Like, it looks great, but do it again, and it'll be better.
Jesse, another one that I really wanted to take a look at was the Justin Johnson tribute figure. I think that was a little bit further down.
I can't wait for this figure.
I know I saw it when I was scrolling through here earlier.
There it is. Yeah, that's just so cool.
I love snow scenes. I don't know. It's easy to sell, I think. It's not easy because there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, literally like a lot of fake snow stuff. But I don't know, just the blue color, the nighttime. I love doing snow scenes, man. It's fun. I love putting the snow all over stuff, and yeah.
And then do you like collect it back up for later use, or you just toss it and use
so
next time?
And I've shared this before, so it's not like so I get like white felt, the big sheet of white felt, and I just like lay it over the table. So the other thing is like creating, you only want to do as much as you need for the shot, but sometimes you want to like at least widen out the base so that in case like you want to change the angle and like, oh, now I only have this little square of white felt. It doesn't, now I can see that it ends over there. So I usually cover the table with the white felt, and then in the place where I've set up the picture, I've got this white sand. It's kind of like a vase filler sand, like at craft stores. And then I also mix that with like a really good fake snow that I found last year from around Christmas that gives it like a crystally look. And then if I need it on the shoulders of the figure, there's this model snow that you usually would like put on like model trains, and like you'd like permanently adhere it to it. Like, so if you get it wet, it becomes like glue. But that just looks more in scale on the shoulders of the figures. You know what I mean? So it looks good. You have to be willing to like, clean them up afterwards because it does kind of leave a little bit of dust, but it's not bad. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then this was my action figure custom. I think was this? Yeah, I think it was the Ring of Stones, and then there's the flame on it is like one of those Figma flames that you can get with some of those figures, and just a light underneath it. Yeah.
What about like the stones that like these next two right there? Is that something that you made, or is it?
No, that's a diorama that I've seen some people talking about. You can get it on Big Bad Toy Store. It's that spiral staircase ruined castle thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
It's a little out of scale. It's actually in the next one. If you go to the next one, Jesse, that was the other Justin Johnson one. I think it's the first one. It's that piece that's standing right behind him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's this right there. That's what he's kind of sitting in front of.
Okay.
And that piece I made, the one in the front. It's just a cheap background piece, but yeah. So again, like this is kind of like you have to match the light. The light here is not bright. It's a snowy, overcast light, so it's more of an overall light. There's no
And then
sun shining through, really.
How are you getting the moving snow like in front of him?
That's in post. And the only reason I do it in post, I have done rain where I've like actually squirted the figures with water, but you have to have a fast shutter speed, because if your shutter speed is slow, in other words, I think people know what that means, right? I don't have to explain.
No, I've heard it before, but I absolutely have no idea what.
Okay, it's how fast the shutter opens and closes, right? And then you're going to capture movement. If you want to capture a guy running across the field, you're going to have a fast shutter speed, because you want it to open and close on the moment that he's like in this position, and not like if it opens like this and closes, he's going to be a blur. You know what I'm saying? So in order to get rain and see it, you have to have a fast shutter speed, but I use fog in like almost every shot. And what I want to happen there is I want it to sort of dissipate and look like atmosphere, just like give it a cloudy, it makes it look like there's depth to the photo. In order to do that, I have to have like a 2-second exposure, which means the shutter is literally open for 2 seconds and then it closes. So if anything moves whatsoever, there's going to be a blur. So if I just squirted water or dropped snow, the snow would just look like a streak of, like a line coming down. So I can't do practical snow and rain. I can't. So I do it in post. I do it in Photoshop, which is tricky too.
Would the scaling be bad for practical rain and snow?
You do. That's a good point. You do have to have a pretty fine mister for rain, because, and then when you're squirting in on it, if you do it too much, like too many shots, you really have to wipe it down, because the rain, the water will start to like come together, like liquid does. Yeah. And you'll have a big giant drop, which in real life obviously wouldn't happen. Somewhere I have a Batman shot like that I did with practical rain. I'll see if I can find it, but yeah. So I do that all in post, and I don't care about that. You know what I mean? Everything doesn't have to be practical.
Is this the one that you were talking about?
No, that's post. I did that in post. I'll see if I can find it. He's in like, it's kind of an Alex Ross homage that. But anyway, do you guys understand this shot? Let me show you this, if you don't mind me sharing again.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take up too much of your time here if you don't. Do you get this?
You ready to bring it up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of younger people who were like, I don't understand what this is. What is this?
No, I get it.
Now, this is, yeah. What is that? Memorex is ingrained.
It's Maxell, actually. It's Maxell.
Maxell. Okay.
Yeah.
The image is ingrained.
A lot of people thought it was
product.
Memorex. Yeah, a lot of people thought it was Memorex because it's not live. It's Memorex, but this was a Maxell ad. Yeah.
It has an M and an X in it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I can't find that Superman or that Batman one. I don't know how far back I did that. I'm not really sure. Getting pretty far back here.
So,
yeah,
now like you were kind of mentioning at the very start when we were pulling up your pictures, but you're doing so many product shots now for companies. Like, when do you find time to do stuff that you just want to do? And do you ever have times where you just don't want to take photos at all because you're so burnt out from just how much work you're doing?
That's a good question. I don't. This is kind of that Rembrandt landing that I was talking about. You see how he's got the little triangle on his cheek?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what that is. I don't as much. And B, yes, sometimes, although I really do want to. I just like, it's kind of exhausting setting up all this stuff. I love this shot. This is also post snow, but this obviously the stuff on the ground is real. I think it's just I don't know. I like when there's breaks, but these guys, 4 Horsemen, are cranking them out, man. So, and I'm doing stuff for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, and
I found
doing actually another line. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep.
I'll stop sharing. So it's a lot. But it's all fun. Yeah, it's the one. Yeah. So you can see even there, the rain is streaky because it wasn't too fast, but it kind of works. And you can see the little droplets on his head are all kind of in scale. Oh yeah, there it is. The scariest thing was trying to keep the water off the camera.
So when you're doing that and or like with the fog and stuff, is your camera just taking like a million photos at once, and then like you go back through and you select out the best one?
Yep, you set it on auto. It just shoots. I don't know if I put my I didn't put my. I really should put my settings on here, but I don't. But yeah, it just shoots a lot. But I had to wipe him down like at least twice before I got the nice streaks, because it's all random the way the rain comes down or the water comes down. And
so how much time do you spend just looking through all those photos to select the one that's the right one you want to use?
I'm good at it now, but I will take probably 100, probably an average of like 100 shots for one shot. Because the other thing is I use fog, and fog is a variable that you can't really control. You can sort of keep it in the general areas that you want, but it's going to do its own thing. So I have to take so many shots to get a few that are going to have the fog in the areas that I want, and then I will mask them and work it so that it looks, good together. But now I can go through, and when I import them, and just go, yep, nope, that's no good, yep. And like in like 2 minutes, I've gone through like 100 photos and picked like a dozen that I want. Yeah. So.
That Holy Grail one that Jesse passed up a little bit ago was hilarious. Right there.
Oh yeah. These are my very first 1/6 figures. These are very old figures. But I freaking love Monty Python. So like, this is great. I've never shot him before. And I think it was some anniversary, the 45th anniversary of the Monty Python.
That's fantastic.
Come, Patsy.
I just love the whole coconut thing. Like it. Oh, yeah, it's brilliant.
It's so great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We've definitely talked all about a lot of stuff tonight, and it has all been fun for the most part, except for Curtis trying to scare you away.
For my grilling for the first hour and a half.
It was fun. It was good conversation, though. I liked it.
It was very much so.
Danny's going to take the worst quotes out of context for this.
I don't even know what that means.
That Batman with the streaks. It gave a little bit. I know you're going for Alex Ross, but the way the rain looked gave a very Sin City vibe to it.
Oh yeah. I did a couple noir shots. I mean, we're out of time, but like they're in there. You can see those that are very Sin City with the Spider-Man noir. Yeah.
And I know I pulled it down, but I gotta say I love the epic mini shot of Gandalf.
Dude, I love those figures. I love those figures. Those things I got them all now. I went nuts and bought them all. I was just nice. I'll get Gandalf and I'll get Frodo and that'll be enough. And I'm like, nah, they were on sale, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy them all.
I'm sorry.
I have Gandalf. I have Christopher Johnson from District 9.
Oh, nice.
And Sarah and Ludo from the Labyrinth.
I've got to pull up this comment because it made me laugh.
Apes too.
If 4-H used coconuts, there wouldn't be any controversy. Well,
unless they had a wrapping on them or something, they wouldn't have a problem. God, I'm glad we didn't go there.
Great movie.
Yes. We talked about that plenty with the Euro Legions guys, because not being from the U.S., we were trying to get Curtis wanted to get their perspective.
I'm literally going to go listen to that right after this show.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Just skip the Ted Lasso stuff until you get
I'll skip through Ted Lasso.
Cool. Well,
there may even be a surprise at the end of that video for people, right, Jesse?
Yeah.
Is there a monster at the end of the video?
There's something at the end of the video.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny, stop! Just stop, Dan, please. Let's not do this.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So, people can find you on 1/6 Shooter on Instagram, 1/6 Shooter on YouTube.
1/6 Shooter on Instagram. It's the only place I'm not 1/6 Shooter. Yeah.
YouTube, you've got your every other Monday night, sometimes every Monday night, Legion's
Correct.
Lounge.
Yeah, our 50th episode coming up a week from Monday. We're gonna have some cool stuff.
So that reminds me, I got to tell you guys a quick story this morning. My daughter tells me, she says, out of all the Legion shows, she goes, I think Legion's Lounge is my favorite. Because they will watch the stuff with me. Like, they'll come down for curfew. She's like, I think Legion's Lounge is my favorite. And I'm like, that me and Jesse do a Legion show, right?
I'm your dad.
And she's like, yeah, but I just mean I really enjoy the Legion's Lounge one. I'm like, okay.
That's fully expected. Nobody wants to watch their dad on YouTube.
Right,
if my dad was on
heart,
YouTube,
man.
I'd be freaked out, man.
I mean,
ripped my heart out.
Now I feel like I have to watch my language. I don't know. How old is
she? My youngest kids are 17. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Jesse. I just had to throw that out there because that ripped my heart today.
I'm sorry. So Legion's Lounge every other Monday night, 50th anniversary coming up a week from tomorrow. You do your what did I say?
Anniversary. That would be a long time, but yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, kind of close. Yeah, 1 6-pack
cool
is every other Friday. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
1 6-pack is every other Friday. We talk about 1/6 figures and we drink some beer and talk a little bit about that. Not much, but
nice.
And then I've been doing weekly random, like about 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time AM. Some news things. I might do one of those like Monday, like tomorrow. Just to talk about the Legion stuff because we won't have a show until next Monday. But
those are cool.
Okay.
Yeah, they're fun, and it's like you keep it to a half an hour, and you just pack it in and talk to people in the chat, and it's fun, man. It's good.
Now, I've only caught it afterwards. Is that live or you record that?
Doing a live.
Okay.
Yeah, doing a live. Yeah.
I've not caught
I tried
live.
recording them, and like you guys know, probably I'm sure you've done some editing for some of these things. It's a pain, man. It's too much.
Yes.
And I'd rather get the feedback. I like doing the lives. I know YouTube doesn't really reward the lives as much as it rewards the recorded stuff, but I don't care. That doesn't matter. It's just fun. Get feedback.
Yeah, I like doing the lives because before I started doing my Mythic shows and stuff, I would do like movie and comic reviews and stuff, and it would take me twice as long to edit and upload the video than it would to make the video.
Oh yeah.
I just did one take unless I really mumbled something up, at the beginning. I just ran with it because, but yeah, editing is the worst.
Yeah, it sucks. I hate it.
for this sort of stuff. Storytelling wise, it's fun, but for this, it's
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
I did have one question for you that, you can save it, think about it for next time.
Okay.
But we might have talked about it is something you don't get to talk about much that you really enjoy. Obviously you have your own show, you get to kind of set your own topics, but is there ever anything that you don't get to talk about that you'd really like to sometime?
Oh, this could be fraught here.
You don't have to answer it right now.
I like politics. It's not a good thing to discuss, but I would love to be able to wear a disguise and go start another YouTube channel and just talk about that kind of stuff. But I don't need that. You know what? It's so fraught now. It's not even I really want to I'm not talking BS, Twitter, bullshit. Really talk about things, in depth with people, or just philosophical stuff. I would just love to, kind of what we were doing here and analyzing ourselves, man. I could do that for hours, man.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got to do that a little bit then.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, this show. This was a lot of fun. Even though we don't necessarily like all the same things.
That's the way it is, man.
I think that we have a better understanding of each other, and I went through some therapy with Trevor, which is the next show that he's got coming on. That's going to be every other Wednesday.
Toy therapy.
Yeah.
Pop culture therapy with Dr. Six or
Dr. T.
Dr. Six.
Dr.
I love
T.
that.
But the reason I didn't become a psychologist is because I would just tell you you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to help you discover what's wrong. And what do you? No, I'm just going to you're an idiot. Okay, here's what's wrong with you. Not you. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean that
kind of. Yeah.
I do talk to someone regularly, so yeah.
There you go. Yeah. That's the right way to do it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us, sir. We're going to bounce out. If you need to get going, by all means. But we're just going to wrap up.
I'll stick around.
Here.
I gotta ask you guys something anyway. So I'll stick around.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Curtis. So we know we've got next week's guests. And I'll announce it here in a second. Anything coming up from you this week?
Got another cool OffWorld coming up Friday. We've got a toy segment where we're going to talk about the top 10 action features or gimmicks in a toy line, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. And then we're going to do a movie review of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So if you're not already subscribed to OffWorld, we did a post All-Stars reveal episode on Friday that's up right now. That seems to be pretty popular. People have enjoyed that. So check that out. Subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you this upcoming Friday. And then next Sunday, we've got another awesome show with another great guest lined up.
Next Sunday, we have the honor and the privilege of hosting or being hosts to Joe Gonzalez, one of our always in the chat. I know he did have to leave earlier because he was going to lose his Wi-Fi or something. But Joe's always here in the chat with us, and awesome customizer, great guy to talk with. So we're looking forward to bring him on the show next week, Sunday night, 9 p.m. right here on Shooting the Shelf. Should be a good time.
Oh yeah, I'm very much looking forward to talking to Joe. So he's in our Legend.e Facebook group. He shows up for all the OffWorld episodes, the Shooting the Shelf episodes. So it'll be nice to talk to him firsthand.
Absolutely. And I said that on purpose.
Because he needed a drink, folks.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Hope you all have a great remainder of your Sunday, whatever's left. And we will catch you here on the shelf next week. And until then, what's on your shelf?